It's Andy Campbell! It's in! Campbell comes off the bench to be a hero! A superhero! Breakthrough! It's taken a while, but it's been worth the wait for Cardiff City!
And I'll be joined by ex-Premier League and Championship striker, Cardiff City legend, Mr. Andy Campbell, in just a second. Today is the 150th episode of the Ace Podcast Nation as a channel, as a podcast network, which is quite incredible to me in itself. I've had a lot of Facebook memories over the last couple of days where it was just me talking of an idea that I had about doing various podcasts on various different subjects, different series, and then I look on about 10 months later or a year later from when I had the idea, and here we are, 150 episodes in. This concept still growing all the time. We are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube. So please get involved in the live chat, and remember that you can leave questions for Andy or myself, but us together for the end, towards the end of the show, where we do some questions and answers, and we'll also try and interact with you as we're going along, as we see the comments flash up. It's been a crazy week of football again, plenty to talk about, and especially the Championship. It's just unbelievable stuff. You just can't keep up with this. Can't keep up with it. Yes. So Friday, I dropped the first episode of a brand new series with the former cricketer, former England cricketer Chris Lewis, which was called My Story. That was the first episode where I take the guests through their careers from their upbringing right up to current day. Episode number 2 is with former Wales international, Cardiff City defender, Arsenal defender Reece Weston, which I really enjoyed, and I honestly believe that it's one of my best podcasts yet. I think a lot of that was down to Reece, I got to say, just by the way he was and how open he was, and just a nice guy all around. To Wednesday, we have the new episode of the Danny Batten MMA show, which is covering the UFC Norfolk show from the weekend, plus giving our predictions for the big UFC 248 on the weekend. And we're also, in a couple of weeks, going to be launching something a bit different with the MMA stuff. For any shows which are based in the UK, so they're on at a decent time, for UFC London, for the Cage Warriors shows, myself and Danny are going to be doing a podcast while it's going on, doing a little watch along, interacting with you guys. So MMA fans, definitely want to get on with that. That'll be a lot of fun reacting to the fights as they're going along. So, as usual, jam-packed show. Any other business to start, and all the other good stuff that we do, including the soon-to-be award-winning 10-second segment that is Fake Geordie Bingo Lingo, where Andy teaches me something about his northern culture, whether it be food, slang, a well-known place, a person, a statue, could be anything. But with no further ado, let us meet the man himself, the man who provides the expert analysis, the witty banter, the beautiful face, the short cropped ginger hair, the away day apparel t-shirt, the king of the worst town in the UK, apparently.
Second.
Cardiff City legend. Second worst. I do apologise.
Thank you.
The master of the toe poke, the speed demon, the red card ultra, Davy Jones, his favourite son.
Oh, without a doubt.
Goal collector. The goal collector. The collector of goals. Mr. Andy Campbell, welcome, my friend. How are you?
Good evening, mate. I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I'm all right. Looking forward to this one.
I'm all right.
And big congratulations, by the way, because that was That's a big thing. What you've achieved. You should be really proud of yourself, and long may it continue to more and more milestones.
Well, mate, it's easy when you talk bollocks. Let's be fair. So I'm very good at that. So there we go.
I made a living out of it.
Thing is, mate, is the way I look at it is like especially seeing all the Facebook memories coming up and that, and it shows like where I was like posting about the plan for it and where it's grown to from that. It's kind of cool because I see like I know, you know, I discussed it with my missus and I had it in my head for a couple of years, and then but seeing like the memories each week over the last couple of weeks where they sort of went from, oh, I might do this to, right, I'm going to do this. And then it was this and this. And then logos started coming out. And it's just kind of cool to look back on. And, you know, 9,000 followers later and the flagship show in the Andy Campbell show, which does like close to 3,000 listens and views a week. It's kind of cool.
It gives you something back, and, you know, and it gives you something back, and that's why you do it, don't you? You know what I mean? And you've got some good and more interesting shows to come as well, and people should be interested in what's to come later because it's only going to get bigger and better this show. 100%. Oh,
mate, there's some cracking shows coming up, and like even the past 150 shows, I think sometimes like especially people who've maybe joined more recently, they don't realise we've had the likes of Cav on, Willie Boland. Who else have we had on? I nearly gave away someone who hasn't been on yet. It was quite a big one, and I nearly slipped up then.
Don't do that.
But yeah, there's you know, it's been cool. Loads of you know, UFC fighters, actor Johnny Owen, just some people who I would never have dreamt of having on. You know, my podcast never thought they would do it. Never thought that, you know, Johnny Owen, for instance, doesn't do podcasts. I think he used to do one, which was his, but generally he doesn't do them. Did mine. Really, really great. I'll always be grateful to him for that because you know, doesn't really do them. I was hoping to have a few little surprises for you, but I'm not sure if they're going to come off for varying reasons. But I'll get into that as we go along. If they don't come off, if they do, then you will discover them
as
they come along. Loads to talk about, mate. Loads.
But, another good weekend of football, especially the Championship. Premier League is just really annoying me. But, you know, I mean, I'm so glad it's a Championship show because probably sick of having a rant, but I'm going to have a rant anyway in any other business, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, I love the any other business. I think it should just be called any other rant from now on. It's like kind of just turns into the ranting segment, doesn't it? Unless Cardiff have ever or Boro underperformed, which, you know, funny enough they have again.
Middlesbrough are all right because Middlesbrough didn't get any points, but they didn't lose either. So they play tonight, so I can't really.
Yeah.
If I'm crying during any point during the show, that might be why.
Yeah, well, you weren't happy, were you, on there? Was in midweek.
It was just Leeds United. It's thing is though, you know you play good teams, but for me, I look at some of the other sides. We're going to go on about it probably later on. That the bigger sides, you've got probably the better chance to win at the minute than you have against a so-called lesser team. So for me, you go into every game exactly the same. Forget who you're playing, and you know what I mean, we'll go from there. Johnny's always in. Love a bit of Johnny. Love a bit of Johnny.
Johnny's in the house. He's been. I think he's applying to be my agent. He was tweeting. Who did he tweet yesterday? Rob Phillips, I think, from BBC Radio Wales. Which, you know, can't fault him. Can't fault the support.
And he replied, by the way, so it was nice for Rob to get back. Like, so, you know what I mean. I spoke to Rob a couple of times about various things, and hopefully he is watching. Rob, let us know you are, so we know you are. Innit? Yeah, because we don't know you are until you tell us. So. Don't say you've watched it and then don't reply.
Drop some comments in there.
Yeah.
Say hello as you join in. Obviously, as the show goes on, it'll come and it'll fill up. But I know you wanted to talk about. Well, let's get into any other business. I know you wanted to talk about Yeovil Town's takeover. So let's start with that.
So Yeovil Town have been taken over. I don't know if people are aware, but obviously I didn't know as a football club that they were obviously struggling a little bit. You know what I mean? And they wanted to go to another level, but they've been taken over by a good friend of mine, Glenn Collins. So good luck to Glenn. I hope he turns that football club into what he desires and where he wants him to go. Really, you know what I mean. He's got some ambitious plans from what I'm hearing. You know what I mean. I spoke to him during the week and I just good luck to him. You know what I mean. It's a lovely football club, Yeovil. They're doing really well in the league at the minute, and they've got an opportunity to hopefully get promoted this season, probably via the playoffs. So fingers crossed that he can achieve something special. And if that's this season, next season, or season after, then you know what I mean. What's my saying? My saying's always cream always rises to the top, and Glenn will make that happen. So watch his space, and hopefully Yeovil Town will be back in the Football League and pushing on to League One like they've done in the past. Because you know what I mean, they're a good. It's a good little club, a lovely town, lovely place to play football, and hopefully they can get some success again, because he deserves it, and so does the football club as well.
Yeah, indeed, it's a lovely place. I don't know a great deal about them as a team. Obviously, what league are they in now? Then
they're in the conference, national conference, so they're just in the playoffs at the minute. Obviously, Boro look like they're running away with it. So you know what I mean. It's one from the rest, one from probably 6 to go up with them. So it'd be a big ask, because teams like Harrogate are flying, and some other big sides in there, Notts County just below. So you know what I mean. It's a tough one, but something that I believe, you know what I mean, that on the day anybody can beat anybody, can't they? So it's up to them now, really. Hopefully they can do it.
Yeah. So as is tradition almost now, as my dog invades and you can hear her claws clapping around my room. She's leaving now. She's a bit of a takeover.
Bored.
So we talk about VAR regularly, even though it's not in the Championship, but it always comes up in any other business.
Yeah.
Before we go into the negatives of it, which undoubtedly you will, because you're Mr. Negative,
yep,
and I'm Mr. Positive.
Yep,
absolutely. I'm always positive. Everton versus Man United. Last couple of minutes, there was a goal for Everton. It was disallowed.
Yep.
In my opinion, it's rightly so, because he's in regardless of whether it hits him and he moved. I saw some people debating, but he's moved his legs and hasn't touched him, so he's not interfering with play. He's in the keeper's vision, direct sight. So, like, the keeper, regardless of whether, I saw someone say that, the keeper wasn't going to save it anyway because of the deflection, but the keeper couldn't see to get into the right position to have a chance of saving it. It's got to be disallowed. And I know, people who are like, kind of, they want to see Man United lose or suffer or whatever it may be. They'll say, it should have been a goal, but it was rightly ruled out. And that's what VAR is supposed to be, is to rule out goals, because that would have been a massive loss for United in their quest to get into the top 4.
I'll give you that one side, because I thought
not all the VAR was being negative, positive this weekend.
I'll give you that. The United one, for me, you know what I mean. It's nice you want to see more goals, don't you? You want to see the celebrations in the last minute, like it was at Goodison Park. Look, rocking in the 90th minute when the goal went in. But you've got to take it into context. You know what I mean. That for me, I don't think it should have gone to VAR, because I believe the linesman should have done his job properly. And
that's the problem, isn't it?
Put his flag up.
The linesmen and the referees not making the bloody decisions.
The linesmen now, like you've just said there, the linesmen now are not making the decisions because they don't want to make a mistake and get shown up. But he's just been shown up. So for me, I'd rather him put the flag up, and then us talking about human error and how it used to be, because that's. But it's not. You know what I mean? He's in the line of fire. He's in the goalkeeper's way. The ball's had to go past him for it to go in, because if it hit him and went in, he's offside. So it's the same thing. The ball's gone past him. It's gone his side instead of goal side. If it had gone the goal side and he was there, it's a goal 100% all day long. But for me, the bigger picture is the linesmen and referees have just got to join in a little bit and not be scared to make a decision. And if that means they get something wrong, And so be it. You know what I mean? He's got it wrong anyway, so I'd respect him more if he give it a go and tried. But yeah, I don't know. VAR it's slowly and surely just sucking the life out of football, and you're getting managers questioning about it. You're getting I don't know. It's a grey area side that people are asking now of running up to goals. Is that a corner? We're now going to look at corners before goals.
Yeah.
People are starting to question, is it worth it? And now you've got Brendan Rodgers saying it'll get sorted out on Friday night. Watch the game on Friday night. Iniacho had a goal ruled out for handball where it hit the Norwich lad's hand first, and then Iniacho handballed it. He did handball it because it hit his hand, but it was a free kick first for Norwich, for Leicester. So did Leicester get the free kick? No, they didn't. The goal got disallowed. So for me, there's got to be some consistency here, because if you're giving handball, it's then got to be a free kick and a yellow card, for example, for the defender before the centre forward. And Brendan Rodgers said it's going to get sorted out in the summer. So the plan must be going forward that there's something going to happen in the summer. There's either got to be a meeting, or they've been told that something's going to happen, because he wouldn't come out with a comment like that. And you can see from his frustration, you know what I mean, that Brendan Rodgers doesn't get animated that often. You know what I mean? Leicester are in a comfortable position. They're quite happy. But when a big moment like that happens in a game, it's so frustrating, because it can mean that's the difference between Champions League football and probably no European football, because and I feel really sorry for teams like Leicester, because they're not inundated with top stars, and they're not inundated with, you know what I mean, they've had a really good season, but something like that can really hurt those sides. And going forward, I hope they can get sorted out, and we know how in the summer how it's going to be used going forward next season, because at the minute I don't even think the referees know, the players don't know, the fans don't know, players, managers, etc. don't have a clue, pundits don't know, and it's just it becomes a talking point, a boring talking point, which we all need to move away from, and so we can move on and enjoy football again, because it's just sucking the life out of everything, like I keep saying. And you know what I mean, it should have been trialed somewhere, and then we've had it.
Well, realistically, we lost Andy again. Someone's tried to phone him again. He does a podcast on a Monday. Don't phone him. He'll be back now. So yeah, my thing with VAR is it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Andy will be back. Here he is. Who's this now? Who's this? So while Andy's away, he is.
I just don't get it, mate. For me, it needs to stop. It needs to stop, and we need to move on from it.
Yeah. Yeah, like Gaz just says there, West Ham have been stung by VAR 5 or 6 times this year. That's cost them a lot of points.
Yeah. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting at the end of the season who's been affected the most. Pros.
Well,
and
I tell you
cons.
who I've seen benefit from the most of it is Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool
have had some of the dodgy ones go their way, which is interesting, because obviously we got a question about Liverpool as well and their bottle.
And the teams who's been affected the most, what I saw, especially at the start of the season, was Sheffield United. And you look how well they've done. You look how well they've done.
How well could they be doing? Well,
exactly. You know what I mean? That they're just hanging in the Champions League places. If they could have gone, or even further, then the world's the oyster. You know that they could be now implemented and guaranteed a place in the Champions League because of VAR. And you know, where do we stop? Where do we stop with this?
Indeed, mate. It's I've sick of talking about it, to be honest.
That's not even my rant. Okay. That's not even me rant either. I know.
We're building up to it. We'll leave that one to the last subject. Johnny Wish says it perfectly there on the YouTube chat. Look, this is what I will say. Jordan Pickford, England's number 1. He's been backed again today by Ben Foster on TalkSport. Backed him publicly. He said, he should be number 1, etc., etc. Look, for me, if I'm England manager and I'm going into that tournament in the summer, at the moment, Jordan Pickford doesn't inspire me with confidence. I'm looking at Pope, and I'm looking at Henderson. Is it Henderson?
Yep. Sheffield Giants.
Yeah, Henderson. It just didn't sound right. I'm looking at them, and I'm looking at the amount of work they do on a weekly basis because of the teams they play for, compared to what Pickford's doing, maybe not having as much to do, but not doing it as well. And I look at their all-round games, their kicking, how they dominate their area, their handling, their positioning. And I'm going probably with Henderson. Pope was at fault for the goal. The Fernandes goal, there's no way that should be going in. I know it moved, but it moved towards him.
Yeah.
And I don't want to slate the boy. He is still quite young, but you're going into a major tournament. You've got to go with what's best for the team. And in my opinion, Jordan Pickford being England's number one is not best for the team.
At the minute,
as an Englishman, what's your opinion?
At the minute, he's not. Should he be playing for Everton? At the minute, should he? There's a question I'd throw out to football fans and to Everton fans. At the minute, does he deserve to be playing for Everton? And the answer probably is no, because of the way he's playing. So then somebody else probably deserves to play. And if you're not playing for your club, then how on earth can you play for your country? You know what I mean? It happened to Joe Hart. Joe Hart got dropped like a stone. You know what I mean? That's club and country because of performances.
Look how his career went.
You know what I mean? So he needs to be very careful. And it's just going back to basics for me, Si, that it looks like it's a concentration thing with Jordan, that, you know what I mean, he's not concentrating in the big moments. See what David said there, he's never let England down. I agree, but Joe Hart never let England down for me. You know what I mean? So
Joe Hart got to a point though where he was making so many mistakes.
Yeah, he was, but
on a weekly basis almost. He was
class, I agree.
But he never did it for England.
No, he
didn't do it as regularly for England.
Yeah, but then for me, you've got to play the best players who are performing at the best time, and you could put centre forwards in that as well. Side that if you've got a centre forward, let's say Harry Kane and Raheem Sterling, let's use the two as examples. You've got Raheem Sterling who scores week in, week out and scores 35 goals in 25 games. And then you've got Harry Kane who doesn't score a goal. And then Harry Kane starts for England. That's not fair. You know what I mean? You've got to play players on merit, and you've got to play your best players at the best time. And you know what I mean? And what's the point of having an England squad if you're not going to give people an opportunity and see how people go? Because it just becomes irrelevant. And I do hope Henderson gets an opportunity, even if it's in a friendly, because does he have to go and play for Man United and go back to Old Trafford to get an opportunity?
Yeah.
Or is he allowed to play for Sheffield United and get a chance? That's what I'd say.
So, all right, I'll bring in a question which Johnny Wish sent in earlier in the week, or over the weekend. He sent it in, or just because it's to do with this. But Gareth says that Gareth Southgate is loyal to a fault. And I think he is too loyal, if you can be such a thing, to some of his players, because he almost picks them on how they perform for England rather than what they're doing for the clubs. If you look at what's the boy who plays for Chelsea, who used to play for Everton, Ross Barkley, done very well for Southgate, isn't doing very well in his Chelsea career.
But so I'll throw this comment back at you that Sven-Goran Eriksson, Capello, they both did the same thing. You know what I mean? That they would.
Yeah.
It's like they go and watch games, but they don't put people in on merit. You know what I mean? That I'll use a Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard factor. You know what I mean? That they both didn't perform for England. You know what I mean? As well as they played for the clubs. But you know what I mean? For me, it would have been right to go and try somebody else on that left hand side, or you know what I mean, or out wide, or give somebody else an opportunity. But that never materialised, never happened. And you put in square pegs in round holes, and it just doesn't work. And it didn't work for England going forward and moving forward in big tournaments. And sometimes you've got to be brave and make those big calls.
All right, so I'll put this question to you now, which Johnny sent in. But just before I do, guys, as people are filling up and people are coming in and out of Facebook and YouTube, if you could give the video a thumbs up on whatever you're watching it on. Obviously, the more comments we get, the more our engagement is, and it helps us find new viewers and new eyes and ears. So that's much appreciated. And we love reading your comments and interacting with you as we go along as well. So Johnny Wish said, with Rashford and Kane out, Tammy Abraham's, really just back from injury, should Gareth Southgate be calling up Ollie Watkins to have a look at him during this international break, considering it's just friendlies?
Have we got enough players in the Premier League who are playing week in, week out at the minute to not look at other players? I'd probably say no at the minute, because we've got a lot of players who are either not playing or injured or out of form. You know what I mean? I use Tammy Abraham as an example. You know what I mean? He's been in and out with injury. He's been forced to play in some certain big games. He's now put himself, or the club have put him out injured. You know, it depends which way you look at it. So these kind of players, if they're forced to play for the clubs, you know what I mean, they're going to end up missing a major tournament in the summer. So if we need to look at somebody now, I prefer to do it in a friendly. I prefer to do it in a friendly now than throw them in the summer, and they'll be out of the depth because they've never trained, they've never socialised, they've never been involved in that kind of arena. And players deserve a chance. Players deserve an opportunity. And if you look at Wales have been successful playing a lot of players out of the Championship. You know what I mean? So it's only a matter of time that England did it. You know what I mean? England did it with Ben Gibson when Middlesbrough were in the Championship, and he didn't let them down. And there's been other players. So you know what I mean? It wouldn't surprise me. But Gareth's got to make a brave call and do it instead of keeping sometimes with the similar squads. You know what I mean? Gareth does like to go out and dip into the 21s and dip into that group of players.
Gareth has just said there, Greenwood from United. I think he's a must. I do. He would be in my squad for Euros anyway.
He's raw side, and what England have told, to go back to Theo Walcott when he was 16, that he got thrown into the Euros. And he's sometimes there's always one shot play, and it's always someone who's got the X factor. And Greenwood's got that. He's got pace to burn. He knows where the goal is. He's a threat throughout games. He's a confident young boy. He obviously plays for one of the biggest clubs in the world at United, and you know what I mean, he's playing a lot of games in Europe in the Europa League, so he knows that kind of international football without playing international football. So you know what I mean. So he's definitely worth a game. Never mind a goal.
He scored more goals than Rashford did in his first full season, and Rashford was in straight away. So when you look at it from that point of view, he probably should be in. My opinion, my opinion, I think he's a better player than Tammy Abraham. However, Tammy Abraham gives you the option of being a bit taller and a bit more. What's the word? You can use him more as a target man as well.
You can use him as a nine. He's a lot more physical, and you know what I mean. I think it depends on the way that England are going to go. You know what I mean, because it's the concerning thing for Gareth will be without that big number 9. You know what I mean. That you're playing a false 9 or loads of speed demons, or you're going to go down the route of looking for a 9 and then playing everybody else in and around him.
I think the point that Gaz makes, though, is that like Ollie Watkins has been banging in goals all season. He's played exceptionally well. He scored goals of all different types. So, you know, why shouldn't he get a go in these friendlies? Why shouldn't they have a look at him? Why should Gareth Southgate not look at him just because he plays in the Championship?
I agree. I agree.
And, you know, if you go on talent alone, Jay Bothroyd should have played more than one game for England the way he played for Cardiff over that couple of seasons. But so if Rashford, Kane and Tammy Abraham's out now and you've got to pick 4 strikers for England, who are you picking?
Sterling.
If you're not picking like a Raheem, if you're not picking like a winger to play up front, if you've got to pick 4 strikers.
Well, I would have to go. I'd have to go Greenwood, because you'd have to go probably like for like, because he's your Rashford for me. You know what I mean? You've got to probably go. You've got to go your like for like, haven't you? Would Jared Bowen be a shout? Is he English?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Would he be worth a go? He's probably scored in the Premier League. You know what I mean?
What's the difference? The only difference is he plays in the Premier League. Because realistically, he's a Championship player. He's played like one game, isn't he, in the Premier League?
Well, I've always thought
it's interesting that even yourself would pick him over Ollie Watkins, who scored more. Do you see what I mean? It's a weird. It's a weird.
I don't know.
Thing, isn't it?
I'm probably on about centre forwards though, because you know what I mean. Like out and out centre forwards. Would I class Ollie Watkins as out and out centre forward? I'd probably class him as a 10 more than a 9. So if I'm picking me 9s, Troy Deeney's got to be a 9 because Troy Deeney terrorises defenders.
He should have played for England.
Do you know what I mean?
Has he got any caps?
I think he's been in the squad once, but I don't think he ever got involved or ever played. And this is a problem you've got, isn't it? You know, that it's not great. It's not great that you're talking about these kind of players and they haven't been given opportunities to play.
But England have got this massive amount of depth in their team. But when you do take out those big players, you are suddenly strikers, at least like midfield. They're out and out is just unbelievable. Yeah. When you've got the likes of Jack Grealish and people who can't even get in the squad. Yeah. That's an interesting kind of concept to it. So before I let you go on your little rant, as I a bit patronising one, before I about what you're going to rant about, I thought I would have a little follow up to last week. So last week we had the debate of Manchester United's midfield, Fernandes' impact since he came in, and if you put Pogba in alongside your Fernandes and your Fred and McTominay, would they then have a midfield as good as the other top teams in Europe? We kind of had a little discussion about it. And then on Thursday, they absolutely destroyed the Belgian leaders. They're running away with the league in Belgium. 5-0. Fernandes was phenomenal again. He was very good against Everton again on Sunday as well. Why has one player had such an impact on their midfield? Bearing in mind they've had Pogba, and he hasn't played all season, and they haven't got Rashford.
I think it's not just the midfield side. I think they've had a positive impact on everybody. So a brand new player has come in and revitalised their whole season, and that's sometimes what new players. They don't have to be as good, obviously, as talented as probably Fernandes does. It's just sometimes just that fresh face in and around that they're trying to push in a certain direction. And you know what I mean? You look at their performances of Fred. You know what I mean? That he sometimes looked a fish out of water at the times and just looked an average player. But now United look like they look more solid, even though Fernandes is an attacking kind of player. But he gives probably license for other people now that they don't have to go forward, that they can do their jobs. Defensively, they look stronger, and offensively, they're creating more chances. They look like they've got a little bit more about them. They create more chances. They have more shots, and that's without obviously James didn't play at the weekend. You know what I mean? You've got Rashford's injured. You know what I mean? So you're still Pogba. You know what I mean? You're missing some very, very big players. So if you can get all of these big players back in fit and healthy and back in the team, in the squad, and still play all these top world class players and have Fernandes as your pivotal player moving forward. Imagine the season the United could have and the position they could be in the league, and obviously still in the Europa League, and it could be a really successful time for United moving forward. But all because of they brought in the right player at the right time. And Solskjaer's had his critics. I've been one of them, but I've got to give him credit for noticing and needing this player and putting him in, and obviously sticking by his guns of the way they want to play, but obviously making sure they have the right player in the right position.
The other thing is as well, which is an interesting point, which friend of the show, Phil Brown, who's a TalkSport pundit, I guess you'd call him, or journalist, football journalist he is, who does the Beyond the Pitch podcast. He's also been on Ace Podcast Nation a couple of times. He says United could have had Fernandes for cheaper, or a little bit cheaper in the summer, and there was rumours, and then they didn't go for him. And his point is, if the manager wanted him in the summer, why didn't he get him? What changed? And realistically, the only thing that changed is the pressure grew on the chief executive. Yeah. That's the only difference thing. That's the only thing which changed. Yeah. Now, if you're running a football club, that shouldn't be the case, because especially a club that size, it should be the manager asks for the players he wants, the positions he wants, and then your chief execs or your transfer team go and get players which fit that bill.
But Sal, you look at football clubs, Sal. You look at football clubs and football clubs who are run the right way. You look at Wolves. You know what I mean? Wolves manager wanted certain players. The club goes out and gets them. You know what I mean? So there's no questions asked. Man United's run really differently, and it seems to be. You know what I mean? That everything's last minute. You know what I mean? Over the course of probably years and years, even when Fergie was there, you know what I mean, signing Berbatov on the last day of the window, you know what I mean. Don't wait till it's, you know what I mean, Ibrahimovic. You know what I mean? They wait till the last minute to do a lot of things, and just because we're Man United, even Igalo, you know what I mean? They wait till right at the last minute of the window to get what they need, and you know what I mean. These players, you know what I mean, they've been much needed for quite a long time. Why wait till the last minute? You know what I mean? The manager knows, and it's not rocket science. Everybody else is watching the same games, and they know that they're missing that big hole in midfield. They're missing that centre forward who's going to create and put the chances away. You know what I mean? They were missing a big centre half before Maguire came in. You know what I mean? But this has been happening for donkey's years. You know what I mean? This isn't just something that's happened overnight. It's, you know what I mean? So it's probably since Fergie left and Moyes took over. So it's
the other. Sorry to interrupt you, mate. I was going to say the other thing that Phil said was that. No, it's gone. It's gone completely. Oh,
because it was
I'm sure it was a fantastic point. Yeah,
it would have been.
So another thing, which following up from last week, you made a point that Barcelona were allowed to sign an emergency player, striker, because they were desperately needed a striker. So they had to break, like the rules had to be broken for Barcelona again.
And I watched that game last night, Si. And
was he in the team, mate?
No, he was not. He came on with.
Was he on the bench?
He was, and he came on with 20 minutes to go, so you can't be that important. And they had another centre forward, and they had another centre forward on the bench. So it's, for me, it just smells of unfair. I've seen quotes from Legrand's who said that it's unfair. You know what I mean? They're in relegation zone. How on earth is all this unfair? But then you've got the player himself who's probably pushed for the move because why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? But
yeah.
But
so
they weren't desperate.
They should have let the club who they signed that player from. They should have been allowed to sign a replacement. But then, because I was thinking that's the only fair way to do it. But then, where does it end?
Exactly.
Because then the player they've got to sign, they've got to sign a player, and it's
it's a vicious circle, isn't it? Vicious circle.
There you go.
Shouldn't happen.
Just about where you were saying about owners, Gaz says. West Ham are run the right way, so I think he wanted you to include West Ham in the list of clubs that are being run correctly.
I seen just on Gaz's comment there. I seen the fans doing their protest on Saturday before the game, and rightly so. You know what I mean? Their supporters have been massively turned upside down. I mean, for years at that football club, and you know what I mean, owners, Newcastle United, West Ham United, you know what I mean, sometimes football clubs get caught up in people owning them for the wrong reasons and getting hold of them and for the business instead of the right reasons and pushing forward. You know what I mean, football fans are so passionate about their clubs and want to move forward, and West Ham fans were so excited about moving to the new stadium because they were thinking they were going to go to another level. They've seen Arsenal, they've seen Man City, they've seen other teams move to new stadiums and go to another level, and they've gone massively backwards. And you know what I mean, and some of the signings who were promised and some of the managers who were promised, and they've gone full circle and ended up back to where they started. And you know, and that's not fair on anybody, and so unfair on supporters, and I really feel for them because you know what I mean, the way that things are going, I only see them going one way, and hopefully that it doesn't go that way because they're too big a club to go down. But then at the same point, in the same breath, nobody's good enough to and has a right to stay up if they're not run the right way.
Yeah, no, and I think at the end of the day, if they go down, we've discussed, it'd be a shocker, absolutely shocking if they go down and have to play in that stadium in the Championship. Johnny Wish says Barcelona in cheating shock.
Again.
Don't know what he means.
Again.
Okay. We're 40 minutes in. Time for any other business to end. What has got you so het up this week?
I'll tell you what, I signed it, and I was fuming, to be fair, because I didn't even know it was coming, because I don't know, I just presumed that it was just as normal as it was. That a new FA Cup was coming up, so I was really looking forward to this weekend and watching some FA Cup games because I love you know how much I love this FA Cup. You know, it's been really good to me as a player. You know what I mean? I've been as a manager in the FA Cup. I love watching it. I was brought up in it with my dad, watching the full day on the FA Cup final and watching St Greavesy and the whole thing from 9 o'clock in the morning. The team's eating breakfast, all the goals from first round all the way through. And then I find out that the FA Cup's on tonight, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I just think the FA might as well just call it something else and degrade it and just call it nothing now. Just stop it. And if they don't want it and it's not important, and the Premier League's more important than the FA Cup, then just cancel it altogether, because it's so degrading not having it on the weekend. I'm just disgusted with the FA and how they've handled that, because for me it just looks like that the Premier League has taken over the FA, and that the FA have bottled a decision to have the FA Cup on a weekend like it always is. You know what I mean? Why not have the Premier League matches on midweek and have them all live on prime TV like they can be? The FA Cup has the royalty for me of that it should be on a weekend and have a game live on a Saturday lunchtime, a Saturday night, a Sunday dinner time. Have all the games live as you can, because everybody loves the FA Cup side. You know what I mean? What have you got tonight? You've got Portsmouth against Arsenal. All right, you know what I mean. But do you want Arsenal fans travelling on a Monday night to down the country? No, you don't. You know what I mean? You've got 3 games tomorrow. You know what I mean? Chelsea, Liverpool. It's a massive game. Why is that not on a Sunday? You know what I mean? Reading, Sheffield United, West Brom, Newcastle. You know what I mean? Why on earth are these games on midweek? It's just not fair on supporters. It's not fair on the history of the cup. You know what I mean? It's just getting forgotten about for me. And you know what I mean? For me, you make it a Champions League thing. You're making as best you can, and then everyone takes it seriously, because at the minute it's not getting taken seriously by anybody. Teams aren't taking it seriously, so the FA doesn't take it seriously, and by the time we know it, it's just a nothing cup anymore. You know what I mean? And I just don't like it.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, FA Cup in midweek, I thought they were effing replays.
Yeah,
there you go.
So that's what I mean. That's what I mean. So if the games are draw tonight,
people don't even know about them.
Exactly. That's
the thing. That's what makes it worse.
If Portsmouth against Arsenal to draw tonight, is it replayed on Saturday? No, it's not. It's replayed the following week. Where if it's played on Saturday, it's replayed on the Wednesday or the Tuesday. It's just awful. It's just really bad. It's just, you know what I mean. You've got managers wanting no replays, so it's finished on the night. You know what I mean. The managers don't care. So, you know, it's only the supporters who care about the cups now.
Yes, it's frustrating as hell, mate. I gotta say. So, my point with it is, like, you want clubs to take the FA Cup seriously. So, like, why would you not take it seriously?
Yeah.
And they don't, and they treat it like the Carling Cup. And if you treat it like the Carling Cup, then that's what the teams will treat it like, unfortunately. Yeah. And this is what, unfortunately, looks like it's going to happen.
But then do you need 2 cup competitions? If they're both going to be midweek,
if they're going to be midweek,
if they're both going to be midweekers, you might as well go back to 1 midweek cup, have it 2 legs, so you in the early round, so you get a few more games for people. You know what I mean, and do it that way. And you know what I mean. If that's the way that we're going to go down, then do it. You know what I mean. Don't make it out to be something it's not.
Oh, what's this?
Sorry, lad.
Who could this be?
How are you,
not too bad, aren't you?
Good lad, mate. Yeah. Is this one of your surprises?
Yeah, got him line connected, mate. Yeah. Former
how's things, mate?
Former professional footballer.
Good, mate. Yeah. Nice to have you on here.
Yeah. I was more nervous coming on you than playing football.
We'll look after you, mate. Don't worry.
I need it.
For everyone listening, that extra voice that you can hear is Mr. Gethin Jones, former Cardiff City player. How are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, good. Busy day.
Always busy, Geff, aren't you?
We're just talking about the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Just been talking about the FA Cup, mate, and it being midweek, shunted to midweek. What do you think of that?
I think it's a disgrace. I just think FA Cups on Saturday is a big thing for all teams playing it. It's massive. I think always. I used to remember on a Saturday, you'd all day the whole build up and everything be on a Saturday. Jimmy, from teams leaving the hotels, the lot. You know, it's not like that anymore. It's a shame.
Yeah, it's frustrating because what you get is you used to get up, you'd watch the grandstand and you see the teams. They do like the little Andy's just disappeared. This is now the Gethin Jones show. So they used to like you say they'd be leaving the hotel. You'd see like interviews from in the week where they'd be building up all the games and stuff, and then all of a sudden they've just completely. I forgot I got to add him back in then.
There you go.
Leave him out.
Sat here for no reason.
Leaving you
just sat there on his own, man.
No, mate. It's not nice, is it? It's not nice that we're talking about the biggest cup competition in the world. You know what I mean? The Champions League's taken over, and I get why it's taken over. But for me, the FA Cup for a British player, you know what I mean? It was the biggest cup competition in the world, and for me, it should keep that pedestal, but it's not, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree with you. I never played non-league in it, and you aim to get that first round.
You say there, you know what I mean? You got players who play the first qualifying round, and you know what I mean? It's worth a lot of money to these clubs, and non-league clubs can sort budgets out for the season, and you know what I mean? You've got a chance to play in the first round proper in the Conference South, and you know, if you take that away from all those kind of players, then what chance has anybody got to aspire to be a professional footballer? And I think it's such a shame.
Yeah,
especially for smaller clubs.
Smaller clubs, smaller clubs, as Andy said, their budgets are, they aim for get that first round proper, and that's a massive boost to their budget for the season. Do you mean I could play clubs for 2-3 years sometimes?
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean, and it's the you can get TV money, but players want to play at a professional stadium and have that ambition to go and do that and put themselves in the shop window, and I think it's so just disheartening that we're talking about these top clubs who seem to run the league, really. They run the FA Cup, they run in the Premier League, and it's the little people and all the little minions who just get punished in the end. It's just not really fair for me.
Yeah, I'd rather see the Cardiff become like an under 23s go. So just make it an under 23s tournament, or where you can play like a couple of first team players, because the Cardiff Cup, the Milk Cup, whatever you want to call it,
Coca-Cola
Cup time anyway.
Coca-Cola Cup.
We change it every week, don't we? We change the name of it. So yeah, we're gonna move on to the championship games now. Gethin, what are you doing? You're gonna stay for a bit, join us, break down some championship action, or are you going to shoot off? Entirely up to you,
little
mate.
chat for 5 minutes, and then I'll probably get called out by the wife or something.
Making tea.
That's it. Gotta listen to the boss.
Probably.
To the boss. Oh, there you are. You're very lucky. The first game that we're going to talk about is Cardiff City 2, Brentford 2. So that's a nice and easy one.
We every single week on this show we talk about how poor Cardiff start, and I'm probably past annoyed now. You know what I mean? But this week I'm gonna give a little bit of credit to Brentford. I thought Brentford were absolutely outstanding from the first up to probably the second goal. I thought Cardiff started poor, yes, but Brentford were excellent. The passing was brilliant and neat and tidy, creating chances, but Cardiff yet again can't defend off a corner. I thought it was awful defending. Second balls didn't win it, but tidy little finish for the first goal, and I thought the second goal was just outstanding free kick. People question Smithies in goal, but I'm not having that. I'm gonna go. I thought it was an excellent free kick. He got it over the top of the wall, and that's a skill in itself. But you know what I mean. I'm not gonna question the goalkeeper whatsoever for the first two goals.
It's an easy one of playing the keeper, isn't it?
Go on.
Yeah, I'm not.
Do you know, Geth? What do you reckon about the Cardiff's defending from set pieces, though, mate? It is poor constantly. Yeah.
It's just it doesn't make sense really, because you look at the big lads who got at the back, and you think, meat and drink should be them. They should be heading everything, and it's gone. I think football's gone. That people don't care about blocking that goal, putting your body on the line. Do you mean, like, I remember when I was at Cardiff, you had James Collins, he'd chuck his whole body on the line to stop that goal.
So what are we talking then, Geth? Are we talking zonal marking? Are we talking man-to-man marking? So for me, man-to-man marking, that you're marking a certain player, and if that player scores, it's your fault. Yeah,
that's definite. I think it's just easy. Zonal marking is a cop-out, because then it's go, I won my man, or I won my area. I say, hold on, that's my man.
Yeah.
If he scores, it's my fault.
Totally agree. And you've just said it there. For me, like for like, player for player, pound for pound, I would back every single one of those Cardiff players to not give a goal away off a set piece if every single player was told to mark a certain player. I watched back probably 6 or 7 corners, and 1 minute I think the man for man, next minute they look like the zonal, and they don't know who they're marking because they're marking a different player. And you know what I mean? I just think the whole thing's confused. They need to know who they're marking, and that should be done in the changing room. And it just cuts out errors for me. It cuts out disorganisation, errors, and we can move forward and start to be a pain in the backside on the other end, because you know what I mean, that you said it, Get there, about the heights. You know what I mean, we should be causing problems in that end, not causing problems at the other end, and it's causing some serious damage to Cardiff City season moving forward, because you can't give any team a 2-0 head start, never mind a good side like Brentford. Can't do it.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
say, when you're marking people, let's say if that's your man, there's no issues then. There's no. But if someone watches Cardiff and goes, "Oh, there's zonal marking," they're always putting smaller lads at the back or whatever. You know, they're going to put their big lads at the back, and then it's going to be a mismatch all the time.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, and I think that's the problem which Cardiff are getting, that you know what I mean, that players and teams know that Cardiff are struggling off set pieces, so they're working on them. They're happy to go around the back and put crosses in and hoping for a corner, for a long throw, and it's so jittery. And I think Cardiff now are struggling that much on set pieces that they're starting to worry about the next one and the damage it's going to make. And moving forward, they need to just get back to basics. And Geth said it there, man-to-man marking. He's my man. If he scores, I take it on the chin. The manager can come out and say, everyone knows his job. We got let down by ABC, and move forward and move on. And if you don't do your job, you don't play. It's simple. It's cutthroat. If a centre forward doesn't score, he gets dropped. If a midfielder doesn't win his tackles and his battles, he gets dropped. Goalkeeper makes a mistake, he gets dropped. Don't mark your men off set pieces. You lose your place. It's simple.
Yeah. The bizarre thing is that set pieces going forward, Cardiff City are outstanding, and right as they should be. But whenever, whether it's long throws, free kicks, corners, Cardiff look dangerous. They've scored, I think, the second most goals from set pieces. But defensively, they cannot get themselves together to. And this isn't just a Neil Harris thing. As much as I'd love to blame him, it was happening under Warnock as well this year.
It's not just a Cardiff thing as well,
before.
It's not just a Cardiff thing. There's every team in the division struggling, and I don't know why. Because you know what I mean. If they are doing something different and they are doing zonal marking, or they're doing man for man, you know what I mean. Or I see teams now without anybody on the post. I see people leaving 3 men up front. You know what I mean? People are trying all these different things. You know what I mean? For me, you have a player on each post. You have somebody in the front space. You go man for man in defence. If that's calling the centre forward back last minute, so be it. You know what I mean? And nobody gets a free ride off a set piece, and then you go from there, because the aim of the game on a corner against is to not let your opponent score. Game over. And if you do that successfully, you'll always score goals and win games, because that's just the way it is.
I think teams have lost pride in clean sheets as well. Do you know what I mean?
It seems that way, mate. It's a Kevin Keegan here who's come back, that it's about winning 4-3 and entertaining. It's not about that, you know what I mean? That Cardiff got promoted 2 years ago by keeping clean sheets, and Neil Etheridge being the best goalkeeper in the league by keeping 14 clean sheets. And you know, I mean, we talked about last year, Si, about Barnsley keeping a record number of clean sheets. You know what I mean? They lost it this year with how they done it, and Cardiff have lost there, where other teams, you know what I mean, Get said it there. You know what I mean? There's not many teams in this division at the minute keeping regular clean sheets, and it's not really good, to be fair.
When you two were playing, was zonal marking around then, Gareth?
It's sort of come in later on for me. Later on when I was playing more like a Bath and stuff. But even a Bath, we tried it once, and we just thought, hold on, man for man, and do your job. And we didn't concede many goals. And we used to just be proud of a clean sheet. I didn't care if we win 1-0, I'm happy. You know, keep a clean sheet. That's all I'm interested in as a defender. And I think that's what teams have lost. They don't want to be. If they win 4-3, they're happy. I think, if I conceded as a defender, if we concede 3 goals, I think I've had a bad day at the office.
I think that's the thing for me. That's Si and Geff for me, because I look at teams, and you know, I mean, you're fundamental, and especially the Championship, you're always going to create chances. There's always going to create, and if you can keep a clean sheet, you're halfway there. You're going to win. You know what I mean? You look at the teams who who've gone up. Cardiff went up. Middlesbrough went up, 3 years ago under Karanka. Oh, they kept a ridiculous number of clean sheets, but because they knew they were going to get a goal and had confidence in the goalkeeper and the back 4-5 to keep the chances to a minimum and to win a football match. And by hook or by crook, you've got to win a game. And if that's, but you can't be giving 2 goals away. You know what I mean? Neil Harris's first game, and this isn't me picking on Neil, by the way, and picking on Cardiff City and being anti-Cardiff. You know what I mean? It's happening across the league that teams are letting two goals in, week out, and you've got to score 3 goals to win a game. 1 goal has got to be enough sometimes to win a football match. And at the minute, we'll talk about the game in a little bit more, and say that Cardiff were unlucky not to win the game. They were unlucky not to win the game because they let 2 goals in, not because they didn't score 3 goals. Because 2 goals is enough to win a game at home. So,
yeah, shouldn't be chasing a game at home.
No. 100%. 100%. But then going back to the game, you know what I mean? They got back into the game because of, for me, poor defending again from corner, from Brentford, from a long throw by Brentford, not winning your first ball, not winning your second ball. So, you know what I mean? It's interesting. And then should have had a penalty from a long throw, should have had a corner, from another goal from a set piece. Teams don't defend set pieces whatsoever. So...
So Peaches said, she said a few minutes ago, "Who's the hot guy?" And I was like, "Well, haven't you seen me every other week?" Jeez.
We're always on here, aren't we?
I know.
Exactly.
Terrible. So I grew me beard.
Making us look bad. Gethin Peaches wants a story about Andy Campbell.
Put you under pressure,
just
man.
To put you on the spot.
I know. She always does it, Geth. Don't worry. She puts me under pressure every week.
We'll give you a couple of minutes to think of one.
Probably my best moment of Andy. Like everyone is like, be obviously the playoff final, but for me it must be Oldham away when you scored 5, Andy. And
it was a great
you had that pie in your face.
Still got the tomato sauce in my face.
I was class. It was just like big hands up in front of their stand, and you didn't realise you just scored the goal and put your hands up and and just got battered.
I didn't realise, mate. To be fair, it was a good moment then, but then it backfired a little bit. That I should have probably reined it in. But yeah, it was worth it in the end, I think.
Yeah, definite. 5 goals in any game's worth it.
Better to have a pie than a bottle, though, I suppose. So
I could have backfired, couldn't it?
Lucky.
Yeah,
it could have gone horribly wrong.
Would you waste a pie though, Si? Would you waste a pie in a game? I don't know.
Mate, I'd have eaten it. I'd have eaten it 100%. I'd have either eaten it or chucked it back. 100%. Just lobbed it back. Just going back to the game, I think with the Brentford goals, the first one is just, apart from the zonal marking aspect of it, it's just the general failure to someone take charge and clear it. They all kind of just stand and watch as it ricochets around. No one seems to want to say, right, I'm having this and get rid of it. And it's weird because when you look at that team on paper, Cardiff have leaders in Morrison, in Nelson, or all the centre backs, Bamba, whoever plays, they're all what you'd think of as leaders, but none of them seem this season to be doing what has been their bread and butter for so long.
Should be leaders, though, Si. Should be leaders, but it's about taking responsibility. And you got look at the first goal. The first goal, who took responsibility for the first ball? Nobody. Who took responsibility for the second ball? Nobody. You know what I mean? You got people throwing the body on a little bit. You know what I mean? But trying to stop the second ball. But for me, then it's too late because the centre forward's already got the charge on you. You bring him down. You're looking at a red card. You stop the ball on the line. Defensively, you're in trouble. So you know what I mean. The damage is done by not winning the first ball. You know what I mean. Second ball, defensively, you're struggling in the box. You know what I mean, because he can go anywhere. So the first ball is the most important one, and we've got the players to do it. That's the depressing thing and the upsetting thing, that we've got the players to win the first ball and to take responsibility. And if we start doing it, you know what I mean. We, like I said, we'll always get chances. We'll always get goals because they've got that in them, the way that they play. And they've got that never say die attitude. But you know what I mean, give Brentford a bit of credit, you know what I mean, because they're a good side. And to be fair, when that second goal went in, I thought, oh God, here we go. This is going to be 3-4-5 because Brentford are that good. And thankfully that Cardiff got back in a little bit. One thing I will mention, by the way, is Volks and the incident with right in front of the touchline. That unnecessary, I'll say. You know, I'm not saying it's a red card because I think that the lad made a little bit of a meal of it, but he's probably got every right to make a meal of it. And he shouldn't give the referee an opportunity to give him a red card, because if he got a red card, you can't argue, even if it is or it isn't, because he's given himself a decision to make by doing what he's done on the floor. Because if he's done something wrong, so be it. But it looks like he's done something, even if he has or he hasn't.
Like if that was VAR now in the Premier League, he'd probably be off, wouldn't he? Because it's just they would have looked over. There's nothing obvious, but it would have been given that opportunity to look over it.
Well, Geth, if that happens the other way around, if that happens against Cardiff for Brentford and the other way around, Neil Harris is stood on the touchline, you're expecting him to get sent off. So you know what I mean? It's a dodgy one. It's a grey area. It's a position that you don't need to put yourself into, and hopefully he learns and doesn't do that again.
What makes it worse is he then goes on to play a role in both goals. The first goal he lays off for Adoma to cross it in. And then the second one, obviously, he's taken the long throw, which is going to be very frustrating for Brentford. But then equally, I thought Cardiff should have had a penalty towards the end of the game as well.
Not just that. They should have had two, Si. Should have had one in the first half before they hit the post on Hoylett. And they should have had one in the second half. I think it was on Julian again. So, you know what I mean? For me, I thought the referee bottled a couple of big incidents, but I think probably a draw was probably a fair result.
As Kelly says there, they probably should have had a couple of penalties.
Yeah, I'd probably say two.
It's interesting.
Not being greedy.
But I got to say, the refereeing standard that I've seen in some of the Cardiff games this year, specifically Cardiff because I watched them the most, but the refereeing, they've had some awful decisions go against them, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I think that adds to the frustration around the place when the results aren't going your way, but you also feel like the penalties and the free kicks and this and that are not going in your favour as well.
Haven't we just said this, Osai, about the Premier League, that referees are too reliant on VAR, so they're not making any decisions. So these referees are filtering down. Geth will tell you the standard of refereeing, lower down you get, and the lower leagues is absolutely diabolical. You know what I mean? I still watch a lot of non-league football, and I can't believe what I watch. You know what I mean? And not being negative on referees, they do a really hard job, but the standard of refereeing, the lower you get, is just even worse. And for me, it should be higher, because they're wanting to progress their level of refereeing to get where those professional referees are. And I'm not seeing it, because some of them use the Cardiff game as an example about bottling decisions. You know what I mean? But there's decisions you don't see in non-league football, and some of the decisions, and Geth will agree with me, that absolutely just beggars belief, really. Some of them.
Yeah, you'd never believe some of the stuff that goes on in non-league, like referee, and it's just like, and they're looking at you thinking, what do I do? And like, if you get round a referee in non-league, they'll crumble. Do you know what I mean? They'll just go, we'll do that, and it works both ways.
Yeah, I know, and that's where it's wrong, Si and Geth. That you've got to, for me, they've got to be the bravest person in there, because the higher they get, you've got 50, 60, 70,000 fans shouting at you. You've got this, that, and whatever. And for me, it doesn't matter if there's one man and his dog watching the game or 80,000 fans. It's a good consistency key. And, you know what I mean? Forget VAR. You know what I mean? VAR. Yeah. I want a referee to make a mistake and come out and explain why he did what he did or didn't do what he did. And I'll respect him even more for doing it, or her. You know what I mean? Because it is what it is. It's a human game. Players make mistakes, referees and linesmen make mistakes, but players have to come out and explain why they've made a mistake and why they've done it. So should referees and linesmen, or women.
Yeah,
well, definitely. You make it up a decision straight away, don't you? The referees, like us, you get a ball, you do play what you see, and the rest just playing what he sees.
We're all human, mate, aren't we? We're all human, and we all make mistakes. And I'll take a mistake by anybody. So as long as it's explained.
So just quickly, Geth, Peaches, who seems to be a bit of a fan of yours, says, what's Dave Jones like? What's Dave Jones like?
Be honest, I wasn't there when Dave was there, so...
slagging him off Andy's been slagging him off for 30 episodes, so...
It's all right.
Were you there when he was there?
No, I wasn't there, so I can't comment on him, so... You're safe.
That's an easy one. Also, I just noticed there, Kelly says about the Everton goal being disallowed. Well, Kelly, what I will say is, if you tuned in from the start, you would know the answer to that because we've already talked about it. No, I'm only playing. We decided that it should have been disallowed because he was in the view of the keeper. So regardless of whether he touched the ball or he moved his legs out the way, he was in direct view of the keeper. The keeper can't see where the ball is to position himself. So, it was the right decision. What do you think about that, Geth? Would you agree with that, with the Everton Man United goal, which was disallowed?
Yeah, I say it's just a distraction. He's laying there, even if there's people are saying, "Oh yeah, well the keeper stood up and he's on the floor." He's still in that position of
he's
distraction to the keeper. Yeah,
Get's got his defensive head on there. Like,
yeah,
fair,
not wrong.
Even as an attacker, still Gethy. You know what I mean? I can't justify celebrating a goal if somebody, you know what I mean? If that hits him and goes in the linesman didn't see it, it's not right. It's not fair because you work all week about keeping a defensive line, and if you keep that defensive line and someone's laid on the floor behind you, he's offside.
Yeah.
And in old money, he's offside. He's offside.
Yeah. And you're offside. You're offside. There's no way around it.
Yeah. He's behind the defender, so he's offside.
I think that's the best way to do it. I think they should just go now and just say if it's offside, it's offside.
Black and white.
Like pissing about with.
Yeah, black and white.
If it's interfering with play, and I just
go back to the 90s and just call it offside.
It's offside.
Go back to it.
Get it. Yeah. Proper tackles and all sorts. Okay. Do we think? Lastly, on Cardiff, is Neil Harris's tactics getting better, or is it still exactly the same?
I think he had to change the way he played on Saturday for obviously various reasons, with Lee Tomlin not playing, and his team selection was and his tactics worked pretty well throughout the 90-minute game. Side, it's not probably the most attractive thing to watch. Obviously with Lee not playing, but you've got to work with what you've got, and you know what I mean, the set pieces work in your favour because Brentford struggled throughout to cope with what Cardiff had. Long throws from Vaux worked a treat throughout the game, not just in the first half of the goal, but second half as well, and second and third balls. The longer the game went, Cardiff grew into the game a little bit, but his tactics aren't starting from whatever he's saying at the start of the game, though. Whatever he says, from 1 o'clock until 3 o'clock is not working for me. You know what I mean? So whatever he's saying from 3:45 till 5 o'clock, I'm his biggest fan. But from 1 o'clock till 3:30 through 3:45, I'm not having it, and I'm not confident in what's been relayed in the changing room to on the pitch at the minute.
That's fair. Johnny Wish says Joe Bennett's missed though.
Yeah, that was
that was.
I'm a big Joe fan, as you know. I'm a friend of Joe's as well, and that was a poor one. And he's mad with himself and expects himself to score because he's a fullback who doesn't get a lot of chances, but he's technically very good and should be scoring those kind of chances. But
it's one of those ones though, isn't it, where as it's come across, he thinks it's all you're already. Think it's in. You're not even thinking about get a clean connection because it's just there and he just sliding in.
Did he go with his wrong foot? Did he go with his wrong foot?
Yeah, I thought so.
Should he go with his right instead of letting it come across on his left? If he put it
opened his body and just knocked it in with his right foot, but he was sliding though, wasn't he? So it might have been a bit trickier to do.
Stop sticking up for him. Stop sticking up for him. You only
I'm trying to get him on the show, and so I'm going to be nice and say. So when he was the ball bobbled as he went to hit it.
I love that. That's why I didn't score as many as I did.
I've got to say, that's it. Well, that's the only reason you did score.
Scored enough, Cam.
I'm glad you're on it again. You're the person who sticks up for me.
Yeah, needed the backup, didn't you? I will say, Will Vaux will be interesting now because since he's been forced to play Vaux from the start, I think Vaux has got better with each game, and obviously now Joe Rolls is back. The only thing which does, I think, probably help him keep his place is obviously Lee Tomlin's out, which is a big blow. But Joe Rolls being back, Geth, is probably that's only a good thing for Cardiff.
Yeah, he's got goals in him, Jimmy. Obviously, he scored on the weekend, but he's got goals. He's always got goals in him, and that's a massive thing from a midfielder. Do you mean takes pressure off of strikers as well? Because you're thinking, okay, we got someone in there can score goals, and I think that's what Cardiff are missing. Obviously, especially with Tomlin being injured, it's like where the goals coming from to help the strikers.
We said the same thing, didn't we, about how important goals are from other areas, because we haven't got a centre forward who scores 20, 25 goals, so we need goals from somewhere. Lee was scoring regular goals, which was great, but then when teams sussing that out, they stopped him playing. Where's your goals coming from? Defensively, we've got a goal in us, off a set piece, but we needed that midfielder driving forward again, and Joe gives that in abundance. I think he's excellent going forward, and he gets regular goals. He scored a hat-trick just before he got injured. Sorry, so he's excellent. He gives us that little bit extra, but he needs to make sure that he doesn't get goals, and couldn't get injured again, because being injured for that long, he doesn't want to play repetitively and pick up another knock, because he can't afford to be out again, because he's missed too much this season already.
Yeah, it's been a shame. It's been a big miss, really.
Guys. Yeah, big miss. Gareth just said, asked if Joe Rolls is English. I think he is, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
But he said he reminds him of Michael Carrick. It's a good, nice comparison.
Yeah,
good play.
Take that.
Too right.
Indeed.
Too right.
But yeah, Cardiff lack creativity. Brentford having a bit of a wobble, and they're drawn a few.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they've probably since the Leeds game, it's probably their fortunes both have turned around a little bit. The Leeds have pushed on, and maybe the pressure's getting to them. I don't know. You know what I mean? They're still going to be in and around there. Probably playoffs now for them, but I wouldn't like to hit them on a good day. You know what I mean? Because if they could have defended set pieces and defend throw-ins, they'd have blew Cardiff away. But luckily for Cardiff, that they let Cardiff get back into it a little bit.
Just for 2 seconds, lads, I'm going to leave you two to discuss the Cardiff game.
Right, okay. For me, Geth, I don't know about you, but I saw Albert Adoma play at Middlesbrough. So I said to Si earlier on, probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, just before he signed, that they missed that winger. That bit of creativity. When we played, we were lucky to have Jason Bourne, who had that trickery to beat a player to go behind and make something happen. And for me now, since he's come in, I didn't expect him to do it, because I thought when he signed from Forest that he was a little bit legs are going a little bit, that he wasn't playing as much. But But now he's come in, and he's playing week in, week out, and that's probably why he's come to Cardiff. What's your thoughts on him?
I think I haven't seen a massive amount of him, but what I've seen of him is like he looks he could do something, but I say just at the moment, I think he needs more games and more playing regular.
He's a proper winger, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I watched him probably about 60 times at Middlesbrough before he left, before he signed for Villa, and he hugs the touchline, he gets the ball, he's very direct. His delivery at times lets him down. That his final ball, he didn't score enough goals. You know what I mean? So when Cardiff signed him, I was a little bit like, is this the kind of player that they need? You know what I mean? He doesn't score, so that crosses the box that are needed. You know what I mean? Does he set up enough goals? Oh, probably not. Yeah. But you know what I mean? He obviously, but he's a threat, and he's got pace, and the way that Cardiff play with 1 up and 3 behind, that's what they needed. So I just speaking about
if he's not setting up enough goals.
So yeah, well, that's what he needs, and his job is to set up goals and score goals. Yeah. So a winger's job is really important. So for me, it's quite the jury's still out a little bit on that.
Indeed. I was just looking then. Kelly was saying that they should give what was it? Taz Mayimbi a go, because looks like the playoffs are probably not going to come off.
I've read really good things. We're
not going to get relegated.
I've read really good things about him, rave reviews, and you know what I mean. It's about. You've got to. This is when I went 16-year-old. Middlesbrough weren't going up or down, and I got my opportunity. You know what I mean. Geth obviously got an opportunity at Cardiff, not as many as he should, but he got some opportunities to play. Probably at times when in the Welsh Cup, or times when Cardiff weren't we're safe. Sorry, you know what I mean. That's how young lads get an opportunity to play. You know what I mean. You've got Cameron Cox, who, for me, did all right in the game he played against Luton Town earlier in the season, but then doesn't play and doesn't get an opportunity since. And you know, I spoke to his dad not so long ago about him needing to play football games and getting opportunities. Middlesbrough just Middlesbrough getting beat as well. Sorry, this is just turning into an absolute disaster, isn't it? You know what I mean?
This is the worst day ever.
Oh God.
Right.
Anyway,
I think you've got to give youngsters the games. If they play well, if they play well, give them the next game. Give them the next game, and then if they have a bad game, pull them out, put them on the bench, and say, look, come back. You've done really well. Have another go again. And when you've a couple of games again.
I totally agree. For me, the only way to improve as a young player is by playing, and you know what I mean. Young players are gonna play badly. It's you know what I mean. Good players and experienced players play badly. So young players are going to have them more often. But you've got to stick by them. You've got to give them a couple of games, bring them out the firing line, probably before they get that bad game. Put them back in. Expect them to have a quieter game, and just nurture them really well. And you know what I mean. You look at the Gary Nevilles, the David Beckhams, the Paul Scholes, etc. at United, in class of '92. You can't tell me they played well week in, week out. I remember the first game they played at Aston Villa, when they got beat and they got absolutely walloped. I think 3-1. And Alan Hansen massively said that you can't win game with kids, but everyone's allowed a bad game. And unfortunately, that all happened in one game. But you know what I mean? It happens. Players have bad games, and it doesn't matter if you're 16-year-old or 35-year-old. You're allowed a bad game and got to get on with it.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on something John said there, where he said that the booing of Josh Murphy when he was substituted was bang out of order. And I agree with that. Unfortunately, some players just seem to be like a target of fans when they have a bad game. They just the fans seem to cling to particular players. Reece Weston used to get it a lot. Peter Whittingham used to get it a lot. And
Josh Lowe,
Josh Murphy scored 5 in 6 games, I think. 5 and 7. You know, he's in form.
I would say I look at it. I look at booing, and I look at what's it going to achieve. You know what I mean? That you've got a player who wants to play. You know what I mean? You've got a player who wants to play for the football club. So why? What's it going to do? It's going to affect his confidence. So he's going to play worse than what he is currently. So who's losing out? It's the football club and the fans who are losing out, because it's going to kill his confidence. You know, and this is a lad, by the way, who's probably been Cardiff's, or one of Cardiff's, better attacking players. You know what I mean? He scored a couple of goals last month. So you know what I mean? They weren't booing him then, so why start booing him now? You know what I mean? He's a confidence player, and confidence players need fans backing him up. You know what I mean? The manager will be his biggest critic, so fans don't need to get on his back. And you know what I mean? We're all pushing in the same direction, so.
Yeah, well, and we've been saying, haven't we, for the last month or so, that you got to give him or White or one of these wingers who are in and out and struggling, just give them 5 or 6 games so they can get used to playing and get some confidence. They gave him a run of games and he scored goals. But
that's the same thing with Gav, innit? The Gav played the start of the season. Now, I came down to watch Cardiff Middlesbrough. Obviously, when we met up, and Gavin played. Oh, he was absolutely fantastic. You know what I mean? But then he gets brought out for a game or two, and you know what I mean? It kills your confidence, because when you're on the purple patch, Geth will tell you, when you play well on a Saturday, you look forward to your next game. You know what I mean? And if you're not going to play, you forget that word. What's that word? Rested. It's the worst word it's the worst word in football. You know what I mean?
Easiest way out, isn't it? Easy.
I got rested at Boston United in the Coca-Cola Cup or whatever it was, and Ernie scored a hat-trick, and then Ernie kept his place for the rest of the season. You know what I mean? It is what it is, isn't it? You know what I mean? But you don't want to be rested. You want to play week in, week out.
You want to play a week every game, You want to play every game. Tuesday,
when you're
Saturday.
Playing well, you don't get tired. So forget that. There's no tiredness when you're playing well. Rubbish.
Absolutely. As Gaz just pointed out, it's going to be a long one tonight, lads. Way behind.
I'm going to get me sleep.
No, you can stay. We're just way behind. We're in the first game, and we're an hour and 20 minutes in. But it is what it is. It's Gethin's fault. Gethin's fault for invading.
I agree.
It's all for Wales.
But Yeah, indeed. Gethin, thank you for joining us, mate. I really appreciate you joining us for our 150th episode.
Top man.
And I'll drop you a text. Gethin's coming on to do a show very soon as well.
Good.
No worries.
Cheers. Yeah, I'll drop
guys.
you a
text. See you soon.
We'll sort out.
Man.
Cheers. I'm trying to get you out. Honestly, I promise. I just can't get it out. Removed. Stuck forever.
Top man, love that.
Yeah, there we go. See,
I'm
glad one of them come off.
My roomie, one of my good mates, made me settle in at Cardiff. Had some nights out, had some nights in. Yeah, I've got a really good relationship with Geth, and friends forever.
Yeah, spot on, mate. Yeah, no, I thought I'd get him on, come and say hello. 150th episode, isn't it?
Yeah, good lad.
Got to do something special.
Yeah,
it's going to be a 6-hour show, but that's fine. So yeah, the next, obviously, guys, with the championship games, we let you guys vote for the main 3 featured games. This week is the Cardiff and Brentford game, West Brom, Wigan, and QPR Birmingham. So next up is QPR Birmingham. And what do you think of this one, mate? I bet you haven't got it.
This was just notes on it now. This was just attack side for me, and it was one of those games that that you love watching, but probably if you're a supporter from either team or manager player, you're probably not enjoying the game whatsoever, because Birmingham, I thought, started really well. Hugo had a goal ruled out for offside, and just then I think it's going to be an attack versus defence, because QPR can attack and score goals, but always let goals in. Birmingham have scored freely over the last couple of weeks, but also let goals in as well. And I tell you what, Scott Hogan is on absolute fire and scored a very good goal to open the scoring. And I think he's won over the Birmingham fans already for me, because being an ex-Villa player, only on loan, but this is his level side for me. I said it last week, and that's not me being disrespectful for him, but he can score goals in this league and be that kind of player which puts you in the playoffs, puts you in to the next level. And if he was playing in a side like Leeds United would be top of the championship and probably promoted already, because he knows where the net is, and he's done it at Villa, he's done it at Brentford, so now he's doing it at Birmingham. So it's no top man Geth. He's done it at this level all the time, and I've full admiration for him. But Birmingham can't defend, let goals in. Pugh equalised from a Geordie Hugo knockdown, and then Hugo finally got his goal in the second half to put them 2-1 ahead. And then I fully expected probably QPR to go on and score more, and then probably let more goals in at the other end. And instead of getting that third goal, which they probably should have got, they give another goal away through Hogan right at the end, and that's Birmingham's side, 12 games unbeaten, 12 games, and that's excellent. That for the side who really struggled last year and are full of younger boys and young kids, and with a couple of experienced boys thrown in and a new manager, and in a transition period, 12 games unbeaten is excellent going, and they deserve some real credit for that.
Yeah, Gaz just says in the live chat there that Scott Hogan's changed their season.
100%.
He seems to have been the focal point, or the touch paper they needed. Yeah, because he seems to have glued everything together, and you can't fault him.
I think it's outside. We've said about Jukovic and Bellington and all these kind of players, and sometimes you just miss that little piece of the jigsaw. That you need that other player, and Jukovic takes so much pressure off the defence because he holds the ball up, but he isn't running behind. Now you've got a player to run in behind, and you've got someone to take pressure off the Bellingtons, who doesn't need to get that goal now, because you've got somebody else that he can enjoy making assists and just playing his football. And it was a really, really good signing, and just excellent, really. So fair play to them. Yeah,
absolutely. I think QPR could defend, they'd be right up there.
If QPR could defend side, I think they'd be. They wouldn't be as good to watch those side, I don't believe, because I think that's what makes QPR really interesting. I watched QPR last year at the Riverside, and they were the worst team I'd ever seen. They couldn't defend, they couldn't attack, they had nothing, absolutely nothing. Got talking to a lot of QPR fans in the stadium after, and they were really worried about their football club. And this year, Eze's come forward, Hugh Gill, they had Naki Wells, so you know what I mean. Already the confidence going forward, but defensively, you know what I mean. They're probably defending the same, but they've got things right all over the pitch. And next year, if they can sort the defence out and still have the attacking force, and yeah, they've got an opportunity.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see him with a nice, experienced Championship central defender at the back.
Yeah.
And I fancy they do quite well. Like John just said, the Eze's quality, and I actually think he's really stepped up since Naki Wells left.
Yeah, he has signed.
I think
But do you believe he'll stay though?
No,
well, I don't. I think he'll either move to a better Championship side, or get a move to a Premier League side, or get a move to a team who gets relegated, because he has been that good, and I think QPR could be just their own downfall really of having lads who've done really well, but you know what I mean, unfortunately they get punished because of the way it was.
Says there QPR battered Cardiff at Cardiff City Stadium, but somehow Cardiff beat them 3-0, and they've had a lot of games like that this season where they've been the better team, but haven't been able to put it together.
Well, you look at Cardiff at Loftus Road, you know what I mean, against QPR. That QPR absolutely ran right, didn't they? And I think they scored every time they attacked, and every time they attacked, they looked like they were going to score as well. Yeah. And it wasn't a nice Christmas present whatsoever, that one.
No, it was not. It was very depressing. Possibly the next game, possibly the surprise of the week. West Brom 0, Wigan 1, and what a terrible result for Boro, my friend.
Yeah, well, over the weekend, I saw obviously the fixtures, as Middlesbrough have just equalised, by the way, so that's good news. Gets Middlesbrough back in it against Nottingham Forest.
Go on, lad.
Yeah, obviously with Huddersfield playing Charlton, Rudy Gestead, ex Cardiff City as well.
Cardiff City.
With Luton playing Stoke, you know what I mean, something had to give. So I expected one of the teams around them to make a break for it and get away. But Wigan was not the team which I expect to get anything from the game at West Brom. And I know Middlesbrough have been there and they've beaten them. But West Brom have stepped up recently and they've pushed on. And watching the game side, I thought West Brom started all right, probably the best out of the two. But then Wigan had the best chance. It was a good Massey hit the post from a very good header, and Marshall made a couple of half decent saves just in the first half, and there was a penalty shot in the second half from Balogun, tripped Robson Kanu in the box, but referee didn't give it. And sometimes you need that bit of luck. But after that, for me, Wigan were the better side, and they created a lot more chances. They had a couple of set pieces. They scored a very good goal from Morsey in the second half, and then should have scored again if it wasn't a good save from Johnson. But for me, there wasn't a massive difference between the two teams, and that wasn't what I expected during the game. I expected West Brom to dominate the game with the attackers they had, and but Wigan came away with a result and probably deserved it. And you know, I mean, not by a lot, but deserved it overall. It wasn't a surprise with the performance they pulled in, but Wigan are playing with loads of confidence. So West Brom will have to dust themselves down and go on again.
There's some teams down that bottom who are really, really doing everything they can to make sure they don't get cut adrift. You've got Luton, who are doing everything possible. You've got Wigan. You've got Charlton, who 1 minute are winning comfortably. The next minute they're getting stuffed. Huddersfield are well away from it now, and it's
well, you get Middlesbrough as well. You know what I mean? They're drawing with Forest. You know what I mean? Forest need that win tonight to push on and get and claw back at Fulham and towards Leeds, and Middlesbrough need the points because at the minute they're going to still be in relegation. You know what I mean? So it's going to be really tight. You know what I mean? There's no, you know what I mean? I still fear for Hull. You know what I mean? We'll go on about their game later on, but with the players that they've lost, there's going to be someone who's dropping down like a stone, and Huddersfield are flying at the minute. You know what I mean? Scoring goals.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And not surprised. You know what I mean? And for me, the brothers deserve, if they continue what they're doing, manager of the season, because you know what I mean, they were relegated side. I know it was really early, but they had hardly any points at the start, and they were losing. They had no confidence. They had no manager. Those lads came in. They still lost games. They talked about that losing mentality. You know what I mean? So it's about teams like Wigan trying to look up to sides like Huddersfield and derbies and trying to emulate what they're doing, really.
Yeah, relegation and playoff race at the moment is real interesting. which we'll obviously talk about in a bit more detail in a bit. Guys, just while everyone's here, if you could drop a thumbs up on the video, that really helps us. Obviously, drop comments in as we're going along. But if you want to ask Andy any questions at the end of the show, start dropping them into the live chat on Facebook or YouTube, and I can correlate them ready for the end toward the end of the show. So yeah, next up was the Saturday lunchtime. Hull 0, Leeds 4, and it was the Leeds that we saw at the start of the season in a big way. Not the Leeds that we saw a month ago.
Scary, scary. It was men against boys. You know what I mean? It started slow for Hull.
Lucky deflection for the first goal.
Well, yeah. I mean, goals change games and big moments, and it really settled Leeds down a little bit as Middlesbrough just go ahead by the wayside, 2-1 just before half time. But for me, Leeds, we said this side that if they could put the chances away, what they create, someone's in for a good hiding. And you know what I mean? Unfortunately for Hull, they've been on the back end of a few horrific results so far this season. Brentford knocked a lot past them. Hull against Swansea. Swansea scored 4. Leeds have scored 4 there. But you know what I mean? You've got every time Leeds went forward second half, they looked like they were going to score. You know what I mean? Fernandes scored a very good goal. They kept the ball really well. Tyler Roberts came on as sub after just about an hour, scored 2 very good goals. I thought he was excellent.
A really big bonus for him to have him back.
I thought he was excellent. But I watched Leeds in the week side against Middlesbrough, and they didn't set the world on fire, but they got the job done. They missed Phillips in midfield, and I think that was a massive miss for them through injury. But you know what I mean? He came back in, and I thought he was excellent. I thought Paddy Bamford led the line really well going forward, and but Leeds side, you know what I mean? Especially result of the day, it put pressure on West Brom. Maybe that was the effect that they'd already won, and West Brom bottled it a little bit. The pressure was on them. Maybe that was the factor. But going back to Hull side, I thought they were poor. I thought that they didn't really have a lot going forward.
Sorry, and I just got to stop you there, mate. How much did you pay Clive to say that?
Well, Clive's a very, very good friend of mine who his wife Angie was one of my bosses at Halifax Town, and so I've known the family for years and years and years, and they've brought one of my kids up and very well looked after them when I was playing for Halifax Town. So Clive texted me last week saying how much he loved the show. So I'm glad he's commented, because he put a really nice comment and really nice text to me saying we both know our stuff and how good the show is. So it's really nice that Clive's commented. So yeah, top man Clive, love you a bit, mate.
We're all filling up now. I think people like to come in late, but maybe we're starting too early. Maybe we should start at 8 o'clock and not 7.
Maybe it's just cost Middlesbrough.
But anyway, yeah. So everyone's coming in to see you celebrating. Evening, Richie Thomas and Johnny Wish says Jack Harrison, absolute quality player. Is he worth 25 million?
Well, do you know what the daft thing about his side is when he was he came to Middlesbrough last year on loan from New York City, and Middlesbrough didn't play him. I seen him a couple of under 23 games. I had a couple of snippets when he came on, but he was really, really mismanaged and it's really poor. And seeing him now playing week in, week out, he's an absolute flying machine. He's got creativity. He's got an eye for goal. He's a threat throughout, and you know what I mean. Why not? You know, he's one of those players what makes things happen, and he's going to be, by the looks of it, a Premier League player next season. So, on average, a Premier League player is average probably up at that kind of price tag. So, if he can do it in the test is Premier League next year. That can he do it week in, week out next year? I thought it was excellent when he played at Arsenal this season in the first half, especially. So, he caused them problems throughout. So, he's a good player, but he needs to play. And I've said it about Ravel Morrison. I've said it about a couple of Middlesbrough players. How can you play well if you're sat on a bench or sat in the stand? It's impossible. You've got to play week in, week out. And Jack's playing now week in, week out for Leeds. The fans love him. The fans adore him. And he's playing well. So long may that continue. And hopefully he continues his progression as a left winger and creating chances and scoring goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to everybody who's just joined. There's loads of people just joined either the Facebook, the YouTube stream. Welcome, one and all. We're going for a bit of a longer show today because it's the 150th episode of this Podcast Nation. And if you'd been with us a bit earlier, you'd have seen our former Cardiff City player Gethin Jones joined us for a little while, a little chat. And drop us a thumbs up on the video if you don't mind, because that helps us get further up the engagement, search engines and such, and obviously get involved in the live comments. And we're currently talking Leeds versus Hull. I'll tell you who was outstanding. My favourite player, Glick, superb again. Absolutely ran the game.
Yeah, well, he did he was probably the standout performer for me at Middlesbrough. That he scored the winning goal. He keeps the ball really neat and tight. He doesn't give it away. He's very strong in midfield, dominates the midfield area. And then when he can bring goals to his game side, it's just great to have, you know what I mean? Because what about midfielders who can score goals? And Leeds are full of them, but you know what I mean? He just dominates that midfield area, and he just brings and then when he can bring goals to a game and winning games, it's scary, really, Si. And we were questioning about Leeds bottling it. You know what I mean? For me, they've turned it around massively, and you know what I mean? They are going to take some catching now, because when they're on a roller coaster like they are, you know what I mean, of winning games and creating chances, and especially away from home side, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't an easy place to go to, by the way, Hull. You know what I mean? Because they're off a decent result. But Leeds, if they carry on, can they play they play Huddersfield next week, they go to Cardiff, then they play Fulham at home. You know what I mean? So for me, the next 3 games are vital, because Cardiff, Leeds, history is massive. You've got Huddersfield, local derby, and then you've got obviously the big one against Fulham, you know what I mean? And Leeds, you know what I mean, they bottled it in the past, you know what I mean? We've called them bottlers a couple of times on here, and probably for the right reasons, because they bottled certain games, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. So can they sustain it and kick on? And off recent performances and results, yes, they can.
Yeah, I tell you what, Ian, Ian's just asked if Man City will let Jack Harrison go in the summer. I'm going to leave that till later on.
They have to, but yeah,
we'll answer that at the end. And I think someone else put another question in about managers being sacked. Thank you, Richie. He just said he shared it in a few groups. Cardiff City phone in. It's after 7. That's what it is. See. Okay, so Leeds, I thought, looked back to their attacking best, I got to say, and Glick, Fernandes, Harrison, not Fernandes, Costa, Harrison, all outstanding, and they looked solid at the back again. Although Hull had a couple of chances, but the problem for Hull is the Hull looked pretty good until January, and then they sold Jared Bowen and Grzycki. You know, what's the manager supposed to do with that?
Well, you bring Maddison in. He brought Maddison in from Peterborough, and I thought it was a good signing, but he hasn't really played, and he sat him on the bench. So same thing again. So
different level though as well.
But then if you've lost your 2 best players, stick him in and give him an opportunity. You've got to play him for him to play well. You can't. How can he perform if he's sat on the bench?
Yeah, can't do anything. Is Ravel Morrison playing for Middlesbrough?
No, he's
having splinters in his ass.
He's sub. Yeah, he's sat comfortable, I think.
What's the point?
It's pointless exercise, and you know, we said it before, say it again. You know what I mean? But then the winning game, so the manager's decision is justified so far. So,
who's this? I wonder, Andy. Who's this? Who could this be? Who could this
Jeff,
be? It's former Premier League referee Jeff Winter.
I love that, Jeff.
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
Good evening. 5 minutes ago, I wasn't going to bother ringing in when Middlesbrough were losing 1-0, but I've got some courage now.
What's the game like, Jeff? Are they playing well?
No, it's dire. It's dire.
Well,
the difference between Nottingham Forest, Nottingham Forest are up there near the top of the league, and they've not been special. Middlesbrough huffing and puffing, but King Rudy Gestede scores.
Yeah, we just said ex-Cardiff legend as well.
Yeah, ex-Cardiff City player.
Evidently, Steve Hodge was telling us before the game that he always scores against Forest, and true to his word, he's kept it up. But it's typical Boro. It's anyone's game. Middlesbrough winning 2-1, but
big second half.
you wouldn't have any money on it.
Big second half ahead, Jeff, isn't it? Because they need to kick on now. They need to see it through because the league's so tight. With the results what happened at the weekend with Wigan beating West Brom, they need to pick up and win this game.
Yeah, I understand somebody said it's your 150th birthday tonight as well, Andy. Is that right?
Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah, I'm looking well, aren't I? I'm just lacking a bit of hair.
The hair's gone, definitely. That's for sure.
I've grown it on here though, Jeff, instead.
You've got your head on upside down.
I come on here for free abuse. You look, I love you, Jeff. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, well, let's hope. I know you'll be off air by the time the full-time whistle goes, but this is a big game tonight, leading up to Charlton away at the weekend, which will be the proverbial 6-pointer. But
huge.
At the moment, I wouldn't have any money on it either way. The only good news to report from the Riverside is that we've had no VAR.
Oh, thank God for that.
Good
thank
for the
God
game
for that.
of football.
Thank God for that,
football.
Jeff. Good lad. Top man.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff.
Right, well, I'm going to go back because it's half time. We're in hospitality, so I'm going to have my cheese and biscuits. Congratulations on getting to 150. Here's to the next 150.
Top man. Cheers, Jeff.
Cheers, Jeff. Thank you. Top man.
Tell you what, mate.
Former Premier League referee, Jeff
Legends.
Winter.
All round good fella.
You are welcome.
All round good fella.
See? Now that's how you do a 150th episode.
That is.
Bring in teammates and friends of your co-host.
That is, yeah. That's how you do it.
Just gonna get him. I wonder who else will come. No, I don't think there's any left now. You've got no friends left now.
Yeah, if you use them all up one, sure.
Right, okay, so let's move on to the next one. Next game, Blackburn 2, Swansea City 2.
Yeah, I seen. I probably shouldn't have laughed, Si, but it was somebody put a tweet over the weekend, and there was the photo of the Swansea players laid on the ground, devastated as Blackburn were celebrating. Yeah, they were, and to be fair, they probably had every right to be devastated because the way that the game went, away from Blackburn, you go and score 2 goals, you let an equaliser ring, you save a penalty. It was just probably one of those games that, you know what I mean, you could probably play it 10 times over and you just be devastated that happens again. But Blackburn started the best out of the 2. They had a couple of chances before Sam Gallagher scored a decent centre forward finish. You know what I mean? I think defensively it was a poor one, a cross, and he nipped in front of the goalkeeper. It looked like a very soft goal to score, but Brewster, to fair, he's playing really well. He's scoring goals. He's doing really well, which is absolutely fantastic for them. And Liverpool would be pleased that he's playing regular and scoring goals and raising his profile. Swansea got ahead through a penalty. To be fair, I thought it was a blatant penalty. But on the other hand, Blackburn got a penalty, and for me that wasn't a penalty whatsoever. I thought, you know what I mean, I thought justice was done with a save by the goalkeeper. It was an excellent save as well. I thought Danny Graham's penalty was decent, but I thought it was a very good save. There we go, just for you, Morgan. But
that's my boy. That's my boy's friend as well.
How's it? There you go. And then Bradley Johnson equalises at the death. I thought it was a decent strike, to be fair, and you're going to be devastated. 94th minute, you've saved a penalty, you've hung on against a very good side, and Blackburn are on form as well. But you know, I mean, probably a result side, which is just rubbish for both, because both of them were in a position where they both needed 3 points, and you know, I mean, they just killed it with obviously with Brentford not getting the result where they wanted. Obviously, Bristol City's result, Preston's result, that Blackburn and Swansea both needed 3 points, and you know, I mean, it was probably a damn squid for both. And obviously, with Nottingham Forest losing as well tonight, that it could have given an opportunity for one of those two sides to kick on and to progress up.
Indeed, yeah, I thought Swansea disappointing. Really, I thought when Brewster scored, I thought they were going to kick on and really maybe get the victory. Blackburn, though, have been doing it all season. They just won't. They just won't get beat. You know, they've had the odd slip up, but they've been very impressive. And if you look at the league table, doesn't lie, mate. But
no, it doesn't.
You'd expect them to be higher, wouldn't you? Talking about it every week, and we've talked about how good Blackburn have been all season, and they've won games and how well they've played. You'd expect them to be higher up the table, and they just aren't.
Well, just things aside, I think that they're losing huge points in crucial games, and you can't afford to not beat the teams in and around you. You know what I mean? That we've raved about them. You know what I mean? Going forward, they've taken some big scalps, but they've let themselves down, especially at home as well against teams in and around them. And you know what I mean? They'll see that as a point gain, but the bigger picture, if you want to get promoted and you mix it with the big boys, you've got to beat Swansea City at home, and unfortunately on Saturday they didn't. Having some great comments, by the way, about the show tonight. It's been fab.
Yeah, the old guys can't stop swearing. No change there.
He's got Tourette's.
But yeah,
keyboard Tourette's.
Yeah, we even had a live report live from the Riverside. You know.
Yeah.
So Ace Podcast Nation, you can have live music, you can have match reports from the stadiums, former Premier League footballers, former Cardiff City footballers coming in for a chat. You don't get that anywhere else, mate.
No, you don't.
Drop a thumbs up on the video, guys. Drop it, share it. Tell your friends the madness that's going on with these guests. Next up, Fulham 2, Preston 0. Preston.
I thought to fair side, I thought Preston started excellently. I thought Barkhuizen was excellent. He outrun Joe Bryant as Joe pulled his hamstring, and then there was an absolutely fantastic double block defensively.
Superb.
By Fulham. It was absolutely fantastic. And to be fair, Preston did really well first half. I thought they were probably the best side. Preston kept the ball really well, but half time came, and I seen Scotty Parker's interview after the game, and he was very pleased with the way that his side ground out the result. He said we weren't at our best, but we got there in the end. And you know what I mean? When you've got players who can whip free kicks and corners in, like Knockout and Calaviero, you know what I mean? That came the first goal. That was an excellent corner whipped in. Dave Nugent tried to head it away and flicked off his head, ended up in the back of the net, and you know what I mean? Then it was an uphill battle for Preston, and the goalkeeper made an excellent save. Rodak at 1-0, goals change games, and then sucker punch corner last minute. Preston put everybody forward, and Fulham broke away and scored the second goal. And I was gonna slag Calaviero off for passing, because he's got the ball off Kamara, and then he passed it back to him to score, and he's lucky he scored because he probably would have been in my downs if he'd have missed. But you know what I mean? Yeah, he got himself an assist, but I would have done it. I would have been passing there. I would have been getting myself on the score sheet, or trying to get myself on the score sheet anyway.
Yeah, Gaz says like not Tourette's, just
love that. Love that, Gaz. Love that, Gaz.
Johnny says, I got off my screen, so I can't see what he says. He said Mitrovic is a Premier League player, which without a doubt. Even though he didn't score, I thought he was absolutely excellent, and he linked up everything they did. He works hard, he's aggressive, and I think that's kind of a lost art in Championship and Premier League football. It's just being aggressive, but not in a nasty like break a leg Roy Keane way, but in a aggressive, I want to win, get out of my way, clear the ball, whatever it may be way.
Well, Scott Parker said it. Scott Parker said how important he was, but I don't know if people have seen the midweek game when he missed a penalty and then he showed some determination, some desire to score the winning goal in the last minute, and you know what I mean.
Unbelievable.
You know what I mean. And it was a celebration for me. That it just shows how much desire and how much he cares, because he's playing the Championship. He's probably, for me, he's too good for this league, and his celebration shows that he absolutely cares about what's going on at that football club and wants them to push on, and he wants to be back in the Premier League, because, you know what I mean, for me, I was surprised that he's still in this division, but I'm so pleased and I'm buzzing that he's in this division, because it just shows that how competitive it is, and shows how strong and how good it is, because if we lose all our best players, then who do we talk about?
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Right. Sorry. Huddersfield 4, Charlton 0.
Yeah, it was a really, really bad day at the office for Charlton, but a massive result for Huddersfield side that dominated the game. And you just heard Jeff say there about Charlton, that Charlton probably, I don't know, you know what I mean, they won't have gone in that game thinking that It was a given they were going to lose, but they've got to start winning their games and winning their home games. And play Middlesbrough on Saturday, which will be a difficult game for Charlton. But it'll be a difficult game for Middlesbrough as well, and a game where Charlton have to go and try and win that game of football, because I think once the second goal went inside, it was just men against boys, because 75 minutes 2-0, they gave in injury time and they gave away 2 goals, although one of the goals was an absolute worldie, and I know you're going to talk about it later on, but some of the defending for probably the second and the third was just poor, and just looked as though they'd given the game up and they were happy just to see the game out and just move on to the next. And you can't do that side, because the Championship, you're always in the game until the final whistle, and unless you're giving silly goals away like they did towards the end. And for me, you've got to give the opponents credit sometimes. I thought Huddersfield were excellent, and they're going towards the safe end of the Championship and towards the middle of the table. If they can get in towards the likes of QPR and Derby, I think they'll be safe, because Sheffield Wednesday have massively gone. So if they can get anywhere near them, they'll be safe as houses, and they're 6 points away from them. And some very good goals, some very good attacking play by Huddersfield. They kept themselves a clean sheet. They got the 3 points against a rival, which is the important thing. And they can move on now and go on to the next one, because they're flying. Turn the season around.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's be fair. We've been very complimentary of Lee Bowyer and Charlton this year, particularly the way they've set up tactically in defence and attack, the way they've adapted to certain teams and changed the way they play. They have lost a bit of steam as the season's gone on, and they lost Lyle Taylor to an injury, which I think contributed as well.
Yeah.
But they weren't great.
No.
But I would like to give the main portion of the credit to Huddersfield, because I thought they were outstanding.
Yeah.
Bacuna particularly was at the heart of everything.
Yeah, I think with Charlton, you said I think there's 3 factors for me with Charlton this season. You know what I mean? That since the poor form started, that we've got the Lee Bowyer factor of was he staying, was he going? Cardiff City. You've got Lyle Taylor getting injured, which has had a massive impact on them, and then you've got the takeover as well. You know what I mean? It's just everything's happened at the wrong time for them, and you know what I mean. I hope they stay up, because Lee Bowyer deserves and needs to stay up, but you only deserve to stay up if you get things right on the football pitch. And with performances like that, you ain't going to get it right. You know what I mean? They've got to get fundamentals right and defend all the way through from minute 1 to minute 95, and you know what I mean. And that's not being lazy. That's doing the right thing and not giving in. You know what I mean, to games. And if you get beat 2-0, you get beat 2-0. But 2-0 doesn't turn into 4-0 from 91 to 95. That's just not right.
Okay, so just before we move on to the next game, he says, as he can't get the screen back up, this show is brought to you by Away Day Apparel, modelled by former Premier League and Championship footballer Andy Campbell this evening. Away Day Apparel. For all your latest clothes and offers, you can visit their website at www.awaydayapparel.co.uk, and also follow them on Twitter at awayDayApparel and Instagram at awayday_apparel, especially for listeners and viewers. There you go. Listeners and viewers of Away Day of Ace Podcast Nation, you can have 10% off all orders by entering the code AA Podcast Nation at the checkout. All lowercase, AA Podcast Nation, for 10% off. And we thank them for sponsoring the show, top lads. And they have got some big plans coming up over the next few months, ready to take over the casual scene. Next up, we got Luton Town 1, Stoke City 1.
To be fair, I watched long parts of this game, and I thought Stoke City were excellent. I thought they turned their fortunes around a little bit, like we always keep saying. You know what I mean? They scored a very good goal from Sam Vokes. I thought he attacked the ball really well. I thought Tom Ince was a threat throughout. I thought he was unlucky not to score. But if you don't put teams to bed, I thought Joe Allen was excellent in midfield, and you don't see games out and finish them off when you need to, you're going to cause your own problems. And you know what I mean? And for me, you use the word lazy about Charlton's defending. I thought Stoke's defending for that penalty was extremely lazy. They had 3 opportunities to get the ball away. They didn't do it. And then it was just like a lazy clearance, but not knowing what's around you. And then all of a sudden you bring McManaman down, and he's got every right to go down. And James Collins, ice cool, you know what I mean? 91st minute, that was the biggest moment of their season. And to give them a lifeline, because I know it's only a point, but that point could be massive coming into the season. And if they hadn't got that, they were rock bottom on 33. You know what I mean? They've given themselves an opportunity. They've kept Stoke City in with them, because I say that it's only 1 point, but it keeps Stoke City on 39. If they hadn't have gone, that would have been them on 41. You know what I mean? So it's a big difference, and you know what I mean. They've got to keep the rivals in and around them, and it wasn't just 1 point gained. It kept Stoke City quite near them, because it would have been them 41. Charlton would have been in the relegation. So, but Stoke City, they've got to get themselves out of this side by doing. I don't know what they've got to do to get out of it, because they keep shooting themselves in the foot so many times this season. They play Hull City next at home next weekend, and for me, they have to win that game. You know what I mean? Hull City letting goals in left, right, and centre. So they've got to see that game out, and they've got to win it. You know what I mean? They play Middlesbrough at home in a couple of weeks. They go to Wigan. They play Barnsley at home. You know what I mean? So they've got some games which I fully expect them to win. So I fully expect them to get enough points to see them through and get them over the line. But with not seeing games out and causing their own problems, they're potentially going to shoot themselves in the foot.
One of the things I noticed is, so you got the Luton thing. They had a penalty for that. Yeah, the Cardiff one, which was much more blatant, wasn't given.
Yeah,
and
totally
that's what frustrates fans and players alike, is the consistency is of these decisions. There was another one in one of the other games where it's like very similar thing, and it's just, you want consistency where either both are a penalty or neither are a penalty, not one, and then you get a one where, like the way, Dean Ashton made a good point on Quest, which is not very often I say that about the Quest coverage, but he made the point that the way that he fell from the challenge from James Chester was not natural. So the referee can see that. And if you can see a player who's fallen in a very unnatural way, then there's probably a good chance that it's not a penalty.
Yeah.
I know they don't judge it on how they fall, but referees are just too scared to make decisions.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
I think, as I say, you have that referee at Cardiff. Cardiff get the 3 point. Cardiff get the 3 points potentially, and Luton go down and get relegated because of that. It's fine margins at the minute. It's so
fine margins, yeah.
So frustrating for fans. You know what I mean? So frustrating.
So what you're saying is you want VAR in the Championship, mate?
No, God, no. I just want referees to make decisions. And the things also, I'm happy with human error though, because you know what I mean. But what I'd like the referee to come out and explain why he didn't give the penalty in his words. So his words would be, I didn't think there was enough contact to give the penalty, or he dived, or I made a mistake. And then I would totally
but you want
respect
it in
people.
You want it in a conversational, personal way, not a pre-prepared statement done through the Referees Association.
Yeah, I want it in his own words. Yeah, I'd like a reporter to ask a question and catch him out. Not catch him out. That sounds really bad because I'm not trying to catch him out. I'd like a reporter.
You just want to hear it in his words, don't you? Yeah. You don't want it in a pre-prepared way. You want to hear what they got to say.
Half an hour after a game, like a manager does, that referees have a chance to watch that incident, or watch whatever he wants in the changing room before he gets an interview. You know what I mean? It's just
absolutely, mate. Next up is by the way, I thought Nick Powell was excellent again, and he's been outstanding for probably the last 2 or 3 months. Really got his career. He's having a bit of a resurgence.
Yeah, he is.
After a few years of maybe not doing as well as people thought he was going to. Next up, Millwall 1, Bristol City 1.
Bristol City side. To be fair, I'm surprised he's still got his job. That's, you know what I mean, because he's Lee Johnson. That he's just.
He didn't. Do you know he didn't go into the dressing room after the game on Wednesday or whatever it was?
Yeah, he said, "Well, that just smells of. It just smells of desperation for me, though, side, because you know what I mean. You go in and you tell the players what you think. You know what I mean, because they got beat by West Brom the week before, which I thought was a worse performance. You know what I mean? They didn't lay a glove on them whatsoever. They got beat by Leeds the week before. You know what I mean? And Millwall were the better side, deserved a lot more from the game. We've just talked about penalties there, so I'll mention 2 penalties. To be honest, I was surprised that both weren't given. So I think Millwall's was the last one right at the end, and Millwall should have definitely had the penalty. But I'm not surprised the ref didn't give it because he didn't give the Bristol City one. So you know what I mean. And I know you shouldn't say that, but unfortunately these things happen, and they play on the minds of referees that they make a mistake, and other things happen. One about set pieces side, I thought Bristol City didn't defend the Millwall set pieces very well. Hence why Callas was on goal. But to be fair, I think Smith probably deserved the goal because I think he smashed the ball in on the line. And Bristol City took the lead through a decent goal from Pereira, but I thought Millwall was so unlucky not to win the game. I thought they were the better side. And when you've got a manager, though, who comes out and says that he didn't go in the changing room side, what does that say to your players? What does that say to your football club, to your fans? Does it say that he doesn't care? Does it say that he's going to lose the plot, or he has lost the plot? It's a very strange comment to come out with. I'll say that because you want. I like Peter's comment, but you've got a manager who leading from the front, so people should follow suit. And if he doesn't care, then why should the players?
Yeah, Peaches makes it. She says it as it is there. But we said last week. I think he was one of my downs actually last week. That I didn't like his attitude. I don't like the way he behaves. I don't like the way he manages. And he looks like he's feeling the pressure now because all those attributes of arrogance and things which rub people up the wrong way, which he has in abundance. Yeah. He could be a really nice guy, by the way. I'm just going on what I see. All those things that rub people up the wrong way are now coming out as he's getting more frustrated.
Yeah.
And that's going to rub his players up the wrong way. I just cannot, for the life of me, after being stuffed in midweek, believe that he didn't go and speak to his players and stuff. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
No,
and by the way, Bristol weren't too bad against Millwall, but I thought Millwall were very, very good.
Yeah,
they are just struggling because Wallace isn't scoring, and they are just struggling to do anything, get the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
But they're playing well.
Yeah.
What's next, mate? Reading 2, Barnsley 0. Talk about resurgence.
Yeah.
Reading back on that run that they had when he took over.
Yeah, they are. To be fair, we questioned the Mark Boyne effect, didn't we? But he did really well. They've had a bit of a slump, but obviously picking up. I thought they were excellent on Saturday. I thought this is probably the worst Barnsley have played in about a month. I thought they didn't really create as many chances as they have been. But to be fair, they're probably due a bad result and a bad performance because they've been so good for so long. So for me, I think Reading were the best side. They scored a couple of good goals. I thought they were a threat throughout. I thought Mite up front, I thought is a handful. He creates a lot of chances for himself with the way that he plays. He's back to goal. He's very strong. He's physical, and he's playing really well. And to be fair, I thought Reading were excellent. Thought probably the scoreline flattered Barnsley a little bit. That probably should have been more than 2. I thought Puskas' finish in the second half was
beautiful.
Was outstanding. You know what I mean? Just across his body, curled it in the far corner. But I was a little bit disappointed with Barnsley the way they've been playing. But I think it keeps it interesting and exciting with them being still in and around the mix of relegation. But they've given themselves an opportunity to get out of it, and but now obviously they need to get themselves back on track with a bad result and performance because they can't afford too many of these because if they get drawn into it again, you know what I mean, will they have enough to get out of it? You know what I mean? They're out of it at the minute, but they've got to stay out of it. That's the key now.
Yeah, their Barnsley's form recently is what's really put them in with a chance of staying up. Because they looked as if they were gone a few weeks ago.
Yeah, well, they couldn't keep a clean sheet. Could they? They were letting goals in, still creating chances, but they couldn't defend. And it's up to them really. I hope he did. I hope he gave himself loads of money.
Yeah, guys, just saying. Did Mark Bowen? Mark Bowen gave himself a job. Did he decide his own pay as well? Jacob Brown, by the way, even though Barnsley lost, another great performance by him.
To be fair side, they're still going
Woodrow as well.
Yeah, they're still going forward. They're still creating chances, but you know what I mean. They've put themselves under a bit of pressure by this result. But they were never going to win every game for the rest of the season, so they just need to regroup, go again, and win as many games as they can to stay up, because they've shown they can mix it with the best and have some really good results and go on a good run. But you know, they can't afford too many of these and repeat what happened on Saturday. Can't afford it.
No. Next up, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Derby County 3. Ed Dawes will be fabulously happy.
Sheffield Wednesday. He was, because I tweeted him on Saturday. Him and Adam Baldy did the game for BBC Derby, and 3-0 up at half time. So what on earth's going on with Sheffield Wednesday? I don't know. You know what I mean? Gary Monk, we were massive fans.
The Monk effect.
We were massive fans of the way he was doing it. He had Stephen Fletcher scoring goals for fun. He had Jordan Rhodes scoring hat-tricks. They just got to Leeds, beat them on their own backyard. They beat Nottingham Forest away 4-0. And ever since that, they've just dropped like a stone. And not just that, they can't defend. They don't attack. There's just nothing going well for them at all. 3-0 down at half-time. Tom Lawrence scored 2. I thought his first was a bit fortunate. His second was excellent. Knights scored a third one. I thought was excellent. I thought he's a very, very good player. And then it's game over. You know what I mean? You bring Stephen Fletcher off at half time. You bring Josh Windass on. Josh gets his goal, which is great. But I'm just confused with the whole what's going on at Sheffield Wednesday, because it must be so disheartening for the supporters, because are they safe? You know, they're on 48 points. You know what I mean? So they're not safe just yet, and they're falling like a stone. You know what I mean? They were on fire at one point, and doing really well, but. You know what I mean? I don't know what's happening with Gary Monk. Is he lost the dressing room? I just don't know what's going on, because the game was
weird,
men against boys in the first half, and you know what I mean? You can't feel sorry for people who've done so well at a football club like you did at the start of the season, and then it's having a negative turnaround now, because it's just not really.
I don't really get it, mate. I don't know what he's up to. Like he's it's disappointing. Like Sheffield Wednesday at one point looked like they were going to be the team to really push on into the playoffs, and it may be even automatics at one point. But
well, I totally agree. So we've raved about them. You know what I mean? They've been physically strong, very good, but all of a sudden now they've let themselves down. Yeah,
and I mean, let's be fair. You know, the Rooney effect has had a huge impact on Derby County season. Huge.
Yeah.
But since the drink driving thing, Tom Lawrence has been outstanding.
Yeah,
I think he scored something like, 5 or 6 goals in the last 5 or 6 games, something like that.
Yeah.
Another one who's never mentioned is Chris Martin. He's been very, very good.
Well, he had a part to play.
He was the one that
all 3 goals. He had a part to play in that game on Saturday. So you know what I mean. I know Ed was very, very pleased with the way that he played, and on his tweet on Sunday. So yeah, long may continue for Derby, because you know what I mean. They'd had a very, very slow start of the season. Obviously, there was things happening at that club which should never have happened, and you know what I mean. But the Wayne Rooney factor has had a positive effect, and let's see where it can end up, because they've still got enough games to play to have an effect on to try and get in the playoffs. But they probably need to win every game to do that.
Yeah, indeed. I'd be amazed if Derby was able to get anywhere near the playoffs. I've got to be honest.
Oh, well, I would be. But I tell you what, if there were, it would be the greatest achievement ever if they did.
Can you imagine they go and win the playoff final, like Rooney scores, winner at Wembley, whatever? It's like what a
I'll tell you what, side, big statement. If they did get in the playoffs, they'd go up, because they'd be on the wave, and they'd be on the crest of a wave. And
yeah, they'd be the team when who'd made that late run.
Yeah.
So it was just seeing if the last surprise is going to happen. No. It's Messi. That is Messi's coming on.
Couldn't handle it, Si. Couldn't
handle it. So that's the games. It's been a bit of a longer show today because it's 150th. So we're having a little bit of a celebration. We've had some special guests. We've had a live report from the Riverside Stadium.
Yeah.
And we've had a bit of fun. We had former Cardiff City player Gethin Jones joined us for a chat for a bit. We had former Premier League referee Jeff Winter reporting live from the Riverside Stadium. So now we're going to finish off with some questions. So guys, drop your questions in the box. I know there's a few which I'll find as in a minute. But before we do that, we're going to do our 2 ups and 2 downs, which is our 2 for 2. So we're going to go with the ups this week, mate, I think. What's your first up?
My first up of the weekend was Tyler Roberts for his 2 goals when he came on. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. A little spark, and he looked a little live wire for me. And if he can continue that form going forward and pushing on, then maybe that he might be answer Leeds' prayers going forward and attacking.
Indeed, my first up is Bakuna of Huddersfield. Scored an absolute rocket. Set up at least one of the other goals, I think maybe 2. But everything going forward for Huddersfield, he was involved in. Yeah. And he's a bit raw, but I think a bit green. But I think if they could, get his head on and mould him, I think that they could be a real player there. Who's your second up, mate?
I'm going Leeds United again, and I've gone Luke Ayling, and I haven't gone for his goal. I've just gone for his attacking effect on what he has for Leeds United, because every attack seems to start for Leeds United in defence, and it always seems to go through him as a right back. He's a defender. He plays right back, but he just attacks, and he just has everything a modern day footballer, stroke fullback does need. And you know what I mean? He's just got everything. He's got fitness, he's got power, he's got pace, he's got delivery, he's got an eye for goal, and he deserves to be playing his trade at the top level. And hopefully, for players like him, that Leeds do get over the line this season, because he deserves it. Because I think he's had an excellent season this season, and he got fortunes with his goal, but sometimes you need a bit of luck with when you're playing football, and he deserves that. He deserves it with his performance, because I think he's been excellent. And I watched him closely at Middlesbrough on Wednesday night, and I thought he was superb.
Yeah, spot on, because I like that. I like that a lot. He's been very good. My second up, he hasn't beat. It felt like at the start of the season I was giving him an up every week. But Mr. Glick from Leeds, he's played over 80 games in a row for Leeds, by the way, in the league. Which is an impressive stat on its own. Shows that he's always available for his teammates and his manager. But absolutely everything which went through Leeds on the weekend, but also in midweek, went through him. Had a couple of great shots. He's just incredible. What a player! One of the best midfielders in the Championship.
Totally agree, Si. I think he's been excellent as well. Like consistent. He was excellent on Wednesday night against Middlesbrough again. He ran the midfield, scored the goal. So he's continuing his performances. Yeah.
Spot on, mate. So let's do your 2 downs. Who have you got for your first down, mate?
Well, I was going to go for Charlton's defending for the first goal, but I've gone for Sheffield Wednesday as a football club. That's my first down. My first down, Sheffield Wednesday. That
you stole mine.
From top to bottom is just absolutely rotten, and needs sorting out, because it's a huge football club.
So my one, I wanted to give it to Lee Johnson again, just for being a massive person. But I decided not to. I've actually gone for 2 downs involving Cardiff City, which I haven't done before, but I'm going to go for it. The first one is Cardiff City's defending at set pieces is absolutely shambolic, and I do not know what they are doing. But they need to sort it out, and they need to get to man marking over zonal marking. They need to talk to each other, and someone needs to take charge and get rid of the ball when it drops in the 6-yard box. Who's your second one, mate?
My second one is you just took it out of Cardiff City, but I've gone for a broad Championship one of why can't teams defend corners and long throws? Because I was going to say you're hired there. You're a professional footballer for a reason. That. If you're 6'4", you head it and you kick it out. You know what I mean? John Terry made a living out of it. Wasn't a very good footballer technically, but he headed and he kicked everything. You know what I mean? You've got bigger and better players than him in the Championship who should be able to defend a lot better, but they're not. And just defend off set pieces, please. Stop me rants.
Yeah, indeed. I've gone for Will Vokes. He probably should have been sent off. It was silly and it was needless. He put his kneeled on the player's head, and I think he will probably still get. I think he'll probably get it. Did he get booked for it, or did they just get talking to?
I just thought he got talking to, because I think it was, for me, it was a red card or nothing. You know what I mean? So I think the referee went.
Yeah, so I do think that he'll probably get a retrospective ban, which is not what he needs, with Rawls coming back into the side.
But he also doesn't want He also doesn't want referees looking at him in that way now, because they're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was niggly, wasn't it?
Yeah, he didn't need to do it. It was just, he didn't need to do it where he was as well. So
yeah, spot on, mate. Else we got any more questions? Oh yeah, Peaches asked. Sorry, we're not even on the questions yet, mate. Sorry, we've been going longer than usual. To finish off, we will do some questions. So I'll take the ones from the live chat, and I'll take the ones which have been sent in. But you guys can send questions for Andy every week, and me if you really want to. Facebook.com/AceCastNation or Twitter @AceCast_Nation. Use the hashtag AceNationArmy or email acenetworkcontact@gmail.com. And we're also now on Instagram @AceCast_Nation. So, we've got quite a few questions to get through. It's been a fun show, but guys, drop a thumbs up on the video. Help us get that engagement up so we can find those new eyes and ears. Peaches asked, not sure if it's still even mathematically possible, but surely Liverpool cannot bottle it from here.
It's still mathematically possible for them not to win it, but no, I can't see them not doing it. I think they know that they've got bigger games coming up, i.e. Champions League against Atletico Madrid. I think the players have now started to know that the Championship is a given and it's going to happen sooner rather than later. And especially the Man Cities of this world, they've got bigger games coming up with Real Madrid coming up, you know what I mean? So you might see them dropping points as well. And I think Liverpool will win the league. It's just a case of, will they take any other cup with them? Will they go for the FA Cup through the week against Chelsea and put a decent side out? Will they get Champions League? Will they overturn what happened at Atletico Madrid? And for me, it'll be interesting if they just win the Championship this year. If Man City win a couple of trophies, who will have had the more successful season?
Look, I'm no Liverpool fan, as everyone knows. It's going to be painful. I'll have to turn off TV and stuff. But if anyone could bottle it from here, it is Liverpool. But I do think it's very unlikely. It's pretty much done.
I can't see it.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose a couple more along the way, because they'd have to lose a few, and Man City would have to win every single game, which obviously they're capable of doing. But I just don't see it myself. So in the live chat, we got Gaz asked, who do you think the next Championship manager to be sacked will be?
Lee Johnson. I think if he's under severe pressure now. I don't think he's got many lives left, and he's spent a lot of money in the summer, and you know what I mean. Before he's unless he walks before he's pushed, maybe he's too confident and arrogant for that. But I think if he continues with the results he's getting, he'll lose his job.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so Liam Jones asked, what did you think of the referee's performance in the Cardiff game on Saturday, especially the treatment Morrison had, the potential red for Vokes, and the Stonewall penalty on Junior Hoylett?
I think he got a lot of things wrong. We spoke about the penalties. I think Cardiff should have had 2 penalties. I think Brentford could have had a man up with Vokes getting the red card. So for me, I think the referee made a few errors, and I think he knows he made a couple of errors and probably tried to eradicate them by not giving certain decisions. And it's so wrong on so many levels, but unfortunately it happens. It evens itself out, people say, throughout the season, throughout games, and I think that's what it looked like for me on Saturday.
Yeah, I think so. Danny Reese says, favourite memory when playing for Cardiff?
No brainer. But if I take that away, you know what I mean? Let's take that one away and put that one to bed a little for now, and just say another moment was my first game at home in Indian Park was against Blackpool. I scored 2 goals, and it was just, do you know what I mean? The first time playing it in Indian Park was so special for me, and to score a couple of goals was great. I followed it on from my goal at Northampton in my debut. So, you know, I've had some special moments in the blue shirt, and it was I just loved my time playing for Cardiff.
In that blue shirt behind you.
Yeah, the blue one behind me with leaks.
Richie Thomas says he couldn't understand the positioning of Smithies for the free kick, lack of concentration or down to coaching. If you don't mind, I'll just jump in on that quickly, only because I'm goalkeeping is kind of up my alley. The Smithies and they would have been coached to have the wall completely covering one side of the goal, and then they cover that side of the other side, and then if it goes in over the wall or under the wall, they're expected to be able to get across. He is a little bit too far, like the other way. In my opinion, I think it's probably an error on his side in terms of positioning. I think he's gone a couple of steps too far. Maybe I think he's trying to look around the Brentford players who are on the end of the wall, or the crowd of players at the end of the wall. I think maybe he's gone to his right to try and look around the wall to get a better angle of it, and then probably hasn't gone back to his original position, or hasn't gone back far enough across. I don't know what you think of that, mate.
I just think things need to be set up a little bit, you know what I mean, a little bit quicker, and you know what I mean. So his stance. You do see a lot of goalkeepers at the minute who take a step to the, try and second guess centre forwards. That, you know what I mean. But that's the joys of a free kick side, because David Beckham made a living out of going to the goalkeeper side. So people expect him to go over the wall. He didn't. He mixed it up a lot. And we're on about a skill here. A skill is getting the ball up and over the wall. So if Smithies stepped any kind of centimetre, inch towards one side, he's now screwed to go back to the other side. And that's what happened at the weekend. It looked like he was too far over one side. So he's obviously tried to second guess the centre forward. It's backfired a little bit. But for me, the skill itself is very good to get the ball up and over the wall. I thought it was
it's a beautiful
textbook free kick.
Yeah, I think even with that extra yard to his left, he's struggling to get to that.
But you said aside though that you've got, what do you do? Just stand in the centre then, and then guess either side, because then you're open for both sides. You know what I mean? Whereas at least you stand in one side, you're hoping the wall does its job. You know what I mean? And hoping that the player doesn't do his job. And you know what I mean? You've got more chances to look silly if you stand in the middle of the goal, and then you're open for both sides. Because then you've got to guess. And if you stand one side, you know it's going the other side, and you've got a better chance, an average of saving it.
Yep. Richie Thomas, who was the hardest defender you played against?
Oh, I'll go my debut, Neil Ruddock, because he did everything. Everything to me. Razor did everything to me and more, and it was a footballing lesson, so to speak. And yeah, I appreciate everything he told me, gave me, and kicked me and did everything to me. So fair play to him.
Richie also said he was in the family stand. He could see the position of the keeper, and he thought he should have been a bit more central. And I kind of agree with that. I thought he should have been more to his left or more central. He also says the referees have been diabolical down the Cardiff City Stadium this season. We'd be a lot higher in the league if we'd had more of the stonewall penalty decisions go our way. Unfortunately, it is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, people say things even out, but yeah, I'm not sure of it. We have been on the wrong end of some certain things, but you can go back. Yeah, you can go back to the season that we played Wolves at home when we got them 2 penalties in the space of, you know what I mean. The people will start to question that, saying we get too many penalties given, and now we're not getting enough. You know what I mean? It's
not getting any.
Not getting any now. Yeah.
Danny Reese says, where do you think Cardiff will finish this season? He personally can't see us reaching the playoffs.
I agree. I think there's too many teams in and around who we've got to play. They've got to play, so teams are going to pick up enough points who are in and around them, and then you've still got the Nottingham Forest who are obviously losing tonight. You've got Brentford. You know what I mean? For me, it's too much of an ask to get in the playoffs now.
Yes, indeed. Peaches wants clarification. Is Lee Johnson still a massive twat? Fair enough.
Confirmed.
Official.
It's official. Big tick. Big tick in that box.
Right, I'm just scrolling back through the questions. I think we've got them all. If I've missed any questions, then say now or forever hold your peace. Any more questions? There was one I said I would go back to, and I can't find it. Do you remember what it was?
Me, no.
Well, we said we'd finish it. Do you remember you said, and I said, oh, no, I'll answer it at the end.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't remember what it was.
I cannot find it for you now.
I can't remember what it was.
Was it Everton's goal being disallowed?
No, I thought we just talked about that. I don't know.
Jack Harrison being worth 25 million pounds. We went through that.
No, we done that one.
Can't see them. I can't see them. Can't see.
I think that's it. So, any more questions, guys? Last go, last call. It's been a long one, I know, but 150th show, so we thought we'd celebrate with some fun. Unfortunately, I've just had a text off the final surprise to say he cannot make it, which I knew was a possibility, which was Mr. Reece Weston. But unfortunately, he's out, so he was hoping to jump on right at the end of the show, but he can't make it, sadly. But that's not a problem, because we had Mr. Jeff Winter, we had Mr. Gethin Jones, and now, to finish off the 150th episode of Ace Podcast Nation and the 30th episode of the Andy Campbell Championship Show, we will do the award-winning, soon-to-be award-winning, I should clarify, for 10-second segment that is in no way built up to be much better than what it is. It is the fake Geordie bingo lingo.
I've got something good for this 150th show Saturday, because I was speaking to me dad
Knew you
today.
Wouldn't let me down.
Speaking to my dad today, and he told me a really good story, and I never knew, but it made me laugh. So we've obviously got the River Tees, we've got Middlesbrough, we've got Hartlepool just over the river, and my dad told me why Hartlepool are nicknamed, and Hartlepool are nicknamed the Monkey Hangers because they captured over the river. They captured a monkey years and years and years ago, thinking he was a French spy, and they hung him. Believe it or not, so they thought a monkey was a. I know, and that's where they're nicknamed the Monkey Hangers. So
you said it was funny.
That is hilarious. That's hilarious. I just couldn't believe it. Oh, it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Poor monkey. Poor monkey.
Oh, yeah. Poor monkey though. Yeah.
French spy.
Yeah, French spy. Poor French monkey spy.
Oh, I better be careful when I come up Borough. They might think I'm a French spy.
Yeah. Don't come in your monkey outfit.
Up to the Borough. Yeah. Guys, I appreciate you all joining us. It's been a lot of fun. We've had loads of comments and stuff and talking, and we had some guests.
Great show.
Great.
Yeah.
How many podcasts, number one, are live football ones? Number two, have live music from bands, which Ace Podcast Nation has had with the Crooks. Have guests, former footballers as analysts. Have former Premier League, Champions League referee as well, was Jeff?
I don't know. He's done everything.
He's
done everything, Jeff.
Top referee Jeff Winter reporting from the Riverside Stadium live. Not many podcasts get such fun, but don't get used to it, because these guests won't be coming every week. Just for the special show, we'll sort out some stuff. You never know. We might get some guests to pop in for extra analysis. You can find Andy Campbell on Twitter at Andy Campbell 32. You can find him on Instagram on the address which he's about to tell you, because he's different to his Twitter.
Andy Campbell
doesn't know it.
Andy Campbell 1979.
That's not it.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Is it not Andy Cams something?
Oh, sorry. Andy Cams 1979. There we go. Andy Cams 1979.
He just read out the wrong one. Okay.
Andy Campbell 1979. I didn't even know it.
You can find me on Twitter at ACEcast_nation. Give the show a follow, channel a follow. You can find us, all our shows, all our different series, football, MMA, everything is also available. Video, youtube.com/AcePodcastNation. Please subscribe. Click the bell so you get notified every time we upload a show. That really is the best way to support us, because we're trying to get up to the 1,000 subscribers. Audio, all your usual podcasting platforms and radio apps for all of different shows and series. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Google, Stitcher, all those places. Teespring.com/stores/Ace Podcast Nation for your Ace Podcast Nation merch and your Andy Campbell Championship Show merch. I've ordered some samples as well. Most importantly, guys, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for everyone who has ever listened, watched, liked, shared, subscribed, anything which Ace Podcast Nation's done.
Sorry.
Middlesbrough just conceded a goal.
In the 87th minute.
Terrible as well.
That's disaster. That's rubbish.
Just as I was getting emotional about thanking everyone for the support of 150th episode,
then Middlesbrough go and do their usual thing.
Bastards.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I really, really do appreciate everything and everyone who's ever shared and followed. 150 episodes. Here's to 150 more.
Yeah, to your right side. Keep up the good work, Si. Doing great.
Yeah, it's all fun. This is Andy Campbell. I am Simon. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week, 7 o'clock. Don't be late.
See you then.
It's Andy Campbell! It's in! Campbell comes off the bench to be a hero! A superhero! Breakthrough! It's taken a while, but it's been worth the wait for Cardiff City!
Grabbing.
For the people who stayed for after the credits, I promised Andy that I would do the Radar Arms wrestling introduction, and I didn't, but because I don't want anyone to see it. So now that everyone's gone, I'm going to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Ace Podcast Nation proudly brings to you the best championship show in the world, the goal collector Andy C, and the host with the most, the SII. It's the Andy Campbell Show. Good night, folks.